There's a concentrated effort to stop it. They'll do anything to stop us, especially now. Because where is our opposition?
He's been fighting for us for so long. So many schools of thoughts we've been through, yeah, to keep us strong. So tell me, what is it that you're willing to do to make our dreams come true? Yeah, make our dreams come true. Been a long time coming, but now we're here. So won't you stand up and show no fear? For the master, master teacher. Freedom for the master, master teacher. Freedom for the master, master teacher. Freedom for the master, master teacher. 'Cause he's the man of the hour. They kidnapped him for building Tamare. He put his life on the line for us all. And for the truth, the lies must fade away. Fade away. It's been a long time coming. Yes, let's be strong. For the 7 seals are breaking. It won't be long to make our dreams come true. For a life that's new. Some are called and few are chosen. Said, how about you? For the master, master teacher. Freedom 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 for the master, freedom, master teacher. Freedom for the master, master teacher. Freedom for the master, freedom, master teacher. Freedom for the master, freedom, master teacher. Think not that we are earthborn, we come from earth, we maybe, but we are life on spirit, and without knowing we can never be free. Knowledge of this was lost when we were cast into blindness. The master teacher came and broke the chains of bondage. For the master, master teacher. Freedom for the master, freedom, master teacher. Freedom for the master, freedom, master teacher. Freedom for the master, freedom, master teacher. Freedom for the master, bring it master teacher. Bring it freedom for the master, master teacher. Freedom for the master, bring it master teacher. Bring it freedom for the master, master teacher. 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 Freedom for the master.
They did everything in their power to take this land and make sure that what's happening right now does not go on. They tried every trick in the book. They ain't finished. They tried slander, defamation of character. They tried to lock brothers up, harass sisters on the street, stop every car coming down to make sure they did everything they could. And not one person come out and help us. Why? Because they had us marked as a cult. Oh, there's some crazy suicide cult. There's a concentrated effort to stop it. They'll do anything to stop us, especially now. Because where is our opposition?
He's been fighting for us for so long. So many schools of thoughts we've been through, yeah, to keep us strong. So tell me, what is it that you're willing to do to make our dreams come true? Yeah, make our dreams come true. Been a long time coming, but now we're here. So won't you stand up and show no fear? For the master, master, master teacher. Freedom for the master, master teacher. 'Cause he's a man of the hour. They kidnapped him for building Tamare. He put his life on the line for us all. And for the truth, the lies must fade away. Fade away. It's been a long time coming. Yes, let's be strong. For the 7 seals are breaking. It won't be long to make our dreams come true. For a life that's new. Some are called and few are chosen. Said, how about you? For the master, master teacher. Freedom 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 for the master, freedom, master teacher. Freedom for the master, master teacher. Freedom for the master, freedom, master teacher. Freedom for the master, freedom, master teacher. Think not that we are earthborn, we come from earth, we may be, but we are life on spirit, and without knowing we can never be free. Knowledge of this was lost when we were cast into blindness. The master teacher came and broke the chains of bondage. For the master, master teacher. Freedom for the master, freedom, master teacher. Freedom for the master, freedom, master teacher. Freedom for the master, freedom, master teacher. Freedom for the master, bring the master teacher. Bring the freedom for the master, master teacher. Freedom for the master, bring the master teacher. Bring the freedom for the master, master teacher. 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 Freedom for the master.
They did everything in their power to take this land and make sure that what's happening right now does not go on. They tried every trick in the book. They ain't finished. They tried slander, defamation of character. They tried to lock brothers up, harass sisters on the street, stop every car coming down and make sure they did everything they could. And not one person come out and help us. Why? Because they had us marked as a cult. Oh, there's some crazy suicide cult.
Bring home now, bring home now. It's freedom, master teacher. Bring home now, bring home now. It's freedom, master teacher.
There's a concentrated effort to stop it. They'll do anything to stop us, especially now. Because where is our opposition?
He's been fighting for us for so long. So many schools of thoughts we've been through, yeah, to keep us strong. So tell me, what is it that you're willing to do to make our dreams come true? Yeah, make our dreams come true. Been a long time coming, but now we're here. So won't you stand up and show no fear? For the master, master teacher. Freedom for the master, master teacher. Freedom for the master, master teacher. Freedom for the master, master teacher. 'Cause he's a man of the hour. They kidnapped him for building Tamare. He put his life on the line for us all. And for the truth, the lies must fade away. Fade away. It's been a long time coming. Yes, let's be strong. For the 7 seals are breaking. It won't be long that's new. Some are called and few are chosen. Said, how about you? For the master, master teacher. Freedom 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 for the master, freedom, master teacher. Freedom for the master, master teacher. Freedom for the master, freedom, master teacher. Freedom for the master, freedom, master teacher. Think not that we are earthborn, we come from earth, we maybe, but we are life on spirit, and without knowing we can never be free. Knowledge of this was lost when we were cast into blindness. The master teacher came and broke the chains of bondage. For the master, master teacher. Freedom for the master, freedom, master teacher. Freedom for the master, freedom, master teacher. Freedom for the master, freedom, master teacher. Freedom for the master, bring it master teacher. Bring it freedom for the master, master teacher. Freedom for the master, bring it master teacher. Bring it freedom for the master, master teacher. 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 Freedom for the master.
They did everything in their power to take this land and make sure that what's happening right now does not go on.
Freedom,
They tried every trick in the book. They ain't finished.
freedom.
They tried slander, defamation of character. They tried to lock brothers up, harass sisters on the street, stop every car coming down, make sure they did everything they could. And not one person come out and help us. Why? Because they had us marked as a cult. Oh, there's some crazy suicide cult. There's a concentrated effort to stop it. They'll do everything to stop us, especially now. Because where is our opposition?
He's been fighting for us for so long. So many schools of thoughts we've been through, yeah, to keep us strong. So tell me, what is it that you're willing to do to make our dreams come true? Yeah, make our dreams come true. Been a long time coming, but now we're here. So won't you stand up and show no fear? For the master, master teacher. Freedom for the master, master teacher. Freedom for the master, master teacher. Freedom for the master, master teacher. 'Cause he's a man of the hour. They kidnapped him for building Tamaray.
Rahubat Muesar. How you all doing? It's that time again. Welcome, welcome, welcome to OSM, Our Souls Matter, Ask Us Anything. All right, let everyone know we're live. Share the links, make comments, subscribe, all that good stuff that helps us with the algorithm. This is so refreshing. Got the man size now. All right, is that in the way? Is that okay there? Okay, let's see who's online. Rahul Bat, everyone on TikTok, Rahul Bat, everyone on YouTube, Rahul Bat, everyone on Insta, Rahul Bat, everyone on all the other platforms that we're streaming live to. Okay? It's always good. It's a pleasure and an honor to come before you as a student of the master teacher, Parnabab, the one and only Dr. Malachi Z.K. York, right, to come before you to spread and teach the truth as he has taught us by way of the actual facts, the master secrets, and the Pa Taruk, the way. All right, so Nathan Gilbert Rahubat, Snipes 1335 Rahubat, Dion Fuller Rahubat, Reye Sananda Rahubat, Kingsley Rahubat, Zachariah Rahubat, Ashun Jin Yalain Rahubat. All right, and everyone else. Sonny Fro Rahubat, Rita Rahubat, Levi Rahubat, Ket Ra Rahubat, Coco Brown, our regular Rahubat, Satak Nakti Rahubat, Roderick Milton Rahubat, Last Storyteller Horus Rahubat, Nathan Rahubat, Nubian Bro Rahubat, Delilah Rahubat. All right, we could be here saying Rahubat all day, and you know Rahubat means greetings. And we say greetings, family, Rahubat Muesa. All right, we're going to get into the questions. It's such a beautiful day and time we're in, where the truth is available to anyone who is, ready for it, wants to live it. I know what you're going to say. This person can say they've got the truth. That person can say they've got the truth. But the reality is there's only one truth. I know people can say there are many truths, but collectively all those truths are one truth. Yeah? If it's right, it's right. If it's wrong, it's wrong. If it's right, it doesn't matter who it's coming from. It doesn't matter if you're black, white, green, yellow, purple. It doesn't matter. Facts are facts. Truth is truth. And that's why the master put out the actual facts. And it's all about which side you want to be on. Do you want to be on the truth, facts, knowledge side, or do you want to be on the lies, belief, and opinion, speculation side? I mean, you may be in the middle because you're still trying to know and decide which way to go. But really, you got the two sides are trying to win the souls. One's trying to save you, and one wants your demise. So you got to decide. We have a Pa Taruk called The Decision that helps you if you need help in making your decision. All right, so Facebook people, Rahubat. Oh, we got a lot of people here as well. Let me just shout out some of these people. So we've got Marcel Leanna Williams, Rahubat, Monica Rahubat, Questionnaire Viper, Rahubat. All right, so yeah, and all the people joining in. Fab Solar Rahubat. Greetings, that's what Rahubat means, okay? All right, let's see, what questions do we have today? Okay, Dad, so if humans evolved from the African people, then how do humans evolve from the Anuhazi and the Lyrans? How could you explain that? Okay, so a lot of the times people think and only associate with the evolution from the planet Earth. But you have to remember that you have other life forms other than the humanoid, right? There were other life forms that evolved millions and millions of years before the humanoid life form, and that life didn't all begin on the planet Earth. There are a gazillion stars out there, solar systems, what we call galaxies and universes and multiverses and the omniverse, okay? When we say omni, we just get into a point where we're saying it's countless, yeah? So man's ego on the planet Earth, to be so arrogant to think that he is the only intelligent life form that evolved on this planet, is actually really laughable, because there are different life forms that are so far advanced, even within the Earth, in terms of when you're not looking at it from a humanoid perspective. You have bacteria, insects that are far more intelligent than humans, all right? So we have to burst that bubble, because you've been given a fictitious story of a deity or God or a being called Allah or Yahweh or any of these names that you find in religious books. And you're told that life began there and he created man and then took a rib from the man to create the woman, and then that's how life on the planet all came about. This is simply not true. This has been debunked, yeah, by historians, archaeologists, anthropologists, scientists. They know now, even if they were ignorant before, that, you know, that's not a factual and true story. But you have a small faction of beings that are running this planet who want to keep the masses down and keep the masses from knowing. And they are the ones that have pushed the narrative of, you know, that story. But many people ask questions, and these questions lead to the realization and the confirmation that these are the beings. So when you're saying humans evolved from the African people, you have to ask, where did the African people come from? Yeah, those African people came from our ancestors who evolved outside of the planet, and they came to this planet and they seeded this planet, and that's how we came about as the original African people. Yeah, and then there are different tribes and these beings from other places that also came here, who evolved from their star systems. Yeah, and these beings are not, they don't look like me and you. So when you start to go into that whole realm of extraterrestrials, because that's what we're really saying, that beings that came from elsewhere to this planet eventually, after our ancestors, the original beings, we call the overseers. And in our language, we refer to them as the overseers, Pa Natharu. So what I'm saying is that the story is much bigger than just one man being created from the dust of the ground and then a ribs taken from him. And that's not a factual story, because men all come from women anyway. So already that's flawed when you start looking at science, looking at the chromosomes, XX versus XY and so forth. So we open your mind, we broaden your mind. You have to have a mindset that looks into the fact that life didn't just begin on this one planet. Even within our own solar system, there are other planets with life forms. They tell you that about Mars, you know. So you have to, first of all, completely define what you're calling life, and what you're calling humans, and what you're calling extraterrestrials. And they don't all look the same. They're beings that look to you, you might say they're hideous looking, but they're looking at you the same way. So as you know, there are beings from Arcturus, beings from Orion, beings from Sirius, beings from Andromeda, beings from so many star systems. You can just Google a star map to see the different amount of constellations out there. And some of these are shaggy beings, some of these are reptilian beings, some of these are greys, some of these are hybrids of these different beings, you see. And on the planet, if you look at our planet, it's the same thing happening. You have many types of beings on the planet, and the root race being African because of scientific discovery, DNA, you know, genealogy, and they've studied and to see how other beings came from that that root race. And then you have other races like the Dravidians and the Asians. They come from, you know, the Denisovan and the Homo florensis. Then you have the European, how they evolved and where they came from. That would be the Cro-Magnon, the Neanderthal. And then everyone mixes to produce sub-races and offspring, and those get mixed with some of these extraterrestrial beings as well that have been living here. So it's not as simple as saying humans evolved from the African people, then how do humans evolve from the Anuhazi and the Larians, because they're different types of beings. You have beings on the planet, like if you look at beings that suffer with certain diseases, or we consider them to be diseases, like when you have a lot of hair all over your body, on your face. When I say extreme hair, that's referred to as hirsutism. That's just a condition, but that comes from DNA, from extraterrestrial beings, shaggy beings, you know, beings that we call the Duanis, the beings from Sirius, we call them Bigfoot. So they mix their DNA with some of these beings, and you have very tall beings. These are related to the Nephilim genes. You have the short people, which is related to the Pataites, or what they insultingly call them, the Pygmies. So life on planet Earth is very broad, and it's in the soil with, as I said, you know, micro, you know, organisms, and then you've got bacteria, then you've got life in the waters. The deep seas have never been completely explored. They're so deep that you can't even go down there unless you have some technology. There are underwater cities with extremely intelligent and highly evolved extraterrestrials. Sirens, you've got so many types of beings in the waters, in the soil, in the air, in the skies. So yeah, I hope that answers your question, Nathan Gilbert. That was for you. Okay, let's move on to the next question. These adverts keep popping up. All right, let's go back to the chat. Okay, so the next question, Snipes, what is the one true God we should pray to? That's a great question. And everyone is obsessed with having one God to pray to. And we can explore this. Why do people feel that there has to be one? What I just described in terms of the cosmos, right, tells you that there are multiple beings. And even where do people get this concept of a one God we should pray to from? Because even if you go to the monotheistic religions, it doesn't exist in there, because what you're doing is you're reading an interpretation from languages that are telling you there are more than one God, but it gets interpreted into English and you think there's only one, because it tells you that it says, let us, in Genesis, let us create man in what? In our. Us, our is plural. In our image and likeness. You ask people that first word in that quote in Genesis 1:1, in the beginning, God. That's the first time you come across that word. G-O-D. In the beginning, God created the heavens and earth. I'm answering your question, Snipes, because you say, what is the one true G-O-D we should pray to? And if I ask you, that first time when that word is mentioned, have you looked into the Hebrew to see what that word is? The word is Elohim, which is a plural. The E-L-O-H is singular. The I-M at the end of that word makes it plural. That's referred to in Hebrew as the Yod and the Mem. So it actually tells you in Hebrew, in that first sentence, the first time you come across the word God, that is a plural. So there isn't a one true God that you should pray to. And then we're going to address, before we address the pray to part, we have to know what prayer is. But the fact you know that there is more than one God is because he says, have no other gods but me. Now, you don't really stop and process that and ask, how can I have any other gods if you're the only one? It will be impossible for me to have any others. So by saying have no others but me, it's an admittance that there are others. You see, the same thing applies in Islam, in the Arabic. So they're basically being confused by the translations into the English, because there are plural in Arabic too, where it says Alat is a female deity to Allah, and then you got Allahumma. This is again, Arabic and Hebrew are the same language, just different tongues. So when you're saying Elo, that's what became Allah. And when you study the languages, you can see things very clearly. That's why even in the Quran, it says, have no others but me. That's an admittance that I can have others. Even if you say others are like idols, but the God that's telling you that is afraid that you're going to choose someone else besides him. Then he says he's a jealous God. Who are you jealous of? If you are the one and only that owns everything, created everything, all powerful, almighty, blah, 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 blah. If you are that, how can you be jealous of your own creation? So when we start to pick these little, simple little things, we start to see that a God that needs something, it can't be all like, you can't be less than yourself, because to need or want something from somebody else is to say you're not all powerful. So you need love. Why? So what happens if you don't get the love? Or as you put it, pray to. Why are you praying to him? Why is he a him? Wu-Sabat will dismantle and decipher things so that it becomes crystal clear that your concept of God has been misinterpreted, into a man, because he's walking, he's talking, he's crying, it grieves him, he is jealous, he destroys things, he has a temper tantrum. That's not someone in control. If it's that easy, and we can go from the cover of what you're calling Genesis, or the Bible, the Torah, all the way to the book of, I was going to say Revelations, but we even past the book of Revelations and go all the way to the Quran, the so-called Last Testament, and see that we can pick out all these little mistakes that don't make any sense. And if we are more intelligent than God, it makes no sense. All right, so going to answer your question now, I have to give context. Every race has their own gods that they look to and call God. So if you go to the Hindus, the Chinese, the Japanese, even the Europeans, they have God what? In their image and their likeness. Their God looks like them. And we have ours now. But for a very long time, we didn't know and didn't have our own God, our own deities, our own whatever you want to use as equivalents to other races. So each race sees God in their image and their likeness. Therefore, they are also God, because that God looks like them. And we now are showing you that we have Parnababyanu as our God. The same way you can have Buddha, and you can have the Dalai Lama, and you can have Krishna, or whoever else other races have, they're allowed to have their own. And for us, our ancestors are in our image and our likeness. Just like the Romans and the Greeks are the ancestors of the Europeans, and they're in their image and their likeness. You see, so the problem comes in when people try to stop or restrict you or say you are not allowed to have your own gods. You must worship my one only. But I'm like, why can't I have my own? Why can't I have one? Why can't I have my own Jesus? You got yours? See? So the reality is it depends on you and the race, but ultimately, who would be the God that was first? That's what you've got to ask, because there's always a first, a beginning, a starting point, and then everyone comes from there. That's why we say, as the original Africans, if you want to use that term, we call ourselves Nuwapians, Sabians, the original Pataites, the original beings on the planet. That will be the gods that everyone comes from. So that would be Ptah. Yeah, so you can have your own, but if you want the most potent, authentic, you have to go to the first, because that's like having a root, planting a seed, and then the tree grows. You have branches, but they're all still gonna come from the root. That's what we're teaching. We predate all the other religions on the planet. Our information is far superior to everyone else. We have our own language that is a tone that's going to help you get what you want more than anything else. So yeah, to each their own, but everyone is welcome. Just like you're welcome to be a Muslim, you're welcome to be a Christian, you're welcome to be a Hare Krishna, you're welcome to follow the Hindu or Hindu religions, you know. So you're also welcome if you want to follow the African way, but it's our way. And that's the reality. That's the difference. Previously, everyone was looking at other people's gods and trying to connect with them. But you're dialing the wrong number. No one's at home. No one's going to answer you because it doesn't resonate with you as much. But of course, everyone is welcome. Wu-Sabat deals with facts, deals with truth. And that's it. For everyone, for humanity to uplift us. And who's best to teach you than those who have had the hidden secret knowledge from the beginning that is now being relayed and revealed to the world. All right. I know I spent a lot of time on that. Have we got a call?
Voicemail.
Okay, let's take that voicemail and then we'll come back to the chat.
Rahubat Moisa, Rahubat Seken,
Rahubat.
Anokit.
That's cool.
All right, let's take the live one and then come back to it.
Son.
Hey, Rahubat. Greetings. Who's calling? What's your name? Where you're calling from? And what's your question, please?
Rahubat, Dre from the States, calling from South Carolina to be specific.
Rahubat,
I was
Dre.
calling. Good. I was calling. I had a question. I was listening to Dr. York's son on the Real Facts podcast, and he had a question. Well, he didn't have a question. He gave us an answer saying that, is it true, just for clarification, by 2032, if we don't have Baba out of prison, he said that Baba is going to leave his skin suit and go back to where he came from?
Facts. Absolutely true.
So when he does that, then what state would that leave us in here while still on the planet? Will we still have to continue to be doing the work, or will it be too late?
I don't even want to consider that. He says you don't actually want that because, yeah, like the thing is, we shouldn't be skipping over and saying what happens if he does. We got to deal with him not going. So let's focus that energy on getting him out, because he said he wouldn't even want to really tell us like how bad that will look for us. So I want to focus. This is why we're saying like the child's play should be gone and it's time to get serious. It's time to unite. It's time to get the job done, because we don't have time. In fact, we've had over 50 years from 1970 to the year 2000. That was the first half hour. And all we did was speak about religions and how we're Abrahams and how we are Moses and how we're Jesus and how we built the pyramids and all the stuff we did. But it's about what are we doing now? Because there's only now. So I hear where you're coming from, but we like to skip over the responsibility. Our responsibility is to get him out way before 2032, because that's not what we want. That's not a good look. It's not a good look for the entire planet, because he's been vouching for the planet not to be destroyed.
Right. And then he's here to help elevate us and for us to save ourselves. So if he leaves, that means we wasn't doing the work, and then he vouched for us and we didn't come through on our part.
Yeah, because have you seen the poster that it's on the website now? The new poster. The one. Let me.
All white on. He has the staff in his hand.
Yes, that one. Yes.
Yeah.
Have you read what it says?
I did. The first time you posted it online, I think he said he came at a certain time. He was born in Ghana, and then he was here to elevate us and save us. Tour.
And it says, this is the part that I've just pulled up. It says, I'll read the whole thing. I came out of the East 1945 AD, Africa, Ghana, onto the Western world, a son of physical parents. I was raised up amongst them to know them. I came forth in 1970 AD to give them what they believed until after 30 years they could learn to want what I really came to teach them by 2000 AD. Yet they refused me. Some betrayed me and offered me into the hands of the evil ones for a small price they did not receive. Yet I forgive you all before I depart. Baba Avatara Yanun. This is a story that keeps repeating and repeating and repeating, where the extraterrestrials that are over, not just this planet, but they're like guardians of the galaxy and the universes and multiverses, they make decisions on a grand scale. They don't just make a decision just based on this planet. Like, they will make, and for lack of a better word, destroy planets if the planet is causing too much issues, right? So this is your story throughout the Bible, where God had to start all over again by wiping, the beings on the planet or parts of the planet with water, floods and so on, because they've transgressed so much to the point where they've actually literally forgotten their purpose and who they are. And so they send warners, they keep sending messengers. We call them prophets and angels and guardians and all sorts. And they come with a message. And if you really check out the message, it's unanimous. It's normally the same message they're all teaching. The very basics are, you all need to deal with love and unity and stop destroying the planet. Even extraterrestrials that abduct people tell them the same thing. You guys are ruining and destroying the planet. And if you don't stop, especially if you carry on with the wars and the divisions and the nuclear weapons, you're going to reach a point where, and we talk about this and hear about this every day, you're going to get to a point where if we do start nuclear weapons as a war, nobody on the planet is going to survive. And this is the state where these extraterrestrials, they keep trying to guide us into doing what we're supposed to do so we can live peacefully, and then we can avoid the fate that this planet has. And we can do that collectively by just raising our vibrations, our consciousness, and transforming back into divine supreme beings.
Okay.
Yeah, so yeah, that is true. That's absolutely correct.
I had another question too. So, is it true that a majority of these diseases that we face or we have, let's say being, Black, Natharu, African American, Negro, the original beings, those were like man-made created diseases made to wipe us out? Like, some of them are called venereal diseases. Is that based off of extraterrestrials, the Venerians that created it to take us out, along with some of the gray beings and the reptilian beings?
Yes, some of them are, and some of them came by way of things like bestiality and mixing DNA with animals, and then going to mix with other humans, like gonorrhea and certain diseases that they came about because you can check the DNA now and see, you know, how they came about. But there's also the ecology problem. A lot of people don't realize, like, certain plants and insects and certain things were brought to this planet to terraform it when it went through many accidents, like meteorite showers and like the Nibiru incident with the crash. And so these extraterrestrials knew was their responsibility, so they had to reform the planet and terraform it. And that's where you're picking up these stories in your religious books. So I'm saying that to say that some of the trees and the insects are extraterrestrial. This is why some people get allergies, especially in the summer, where, you know, some people will suffer, you know, from hay fever and certain things because they are affected by these extraterrestrial plants and insects and certain things like that. Whereas some people will never get hay fever, but yet others will suffer from it really badly. On top of that, you have to deal with the whole diet and the meat eating and the things that we have started to ingest over a long period of time that's not natural for us to consume. And like you say, plus the mixing. And so there are certain diseases, like we've explained many times, that some of the extraterrestrials, if you've heard of a term called panspermia, where bacteria will come from meteorites or come from outer space that will affect people, and then they will spread it, like a pandemic. Even COVID, that was by design to attack certain genetic markers. So yes, extraterrestrials are highly involved with many aspects of what we call life on this planet. Hence they call it Plan ET, where we say planet. Yeah. So yes, it's a multitude of things, and the immune system or your DNA is programmable as well. So you can actually heal yourself in many ways, but you have to learn how to heal, because the word health, the first part of the word is heal, you see. So we have to learn how to heal ourselves, and you're not going to do that by the things you're putting into your body that are not good for you. And although we've been doing it for many years, you can wean yourself off. You know, you don't have to just, some people can do it. Some people are serious. They're like, now I know, I'm cutting that out. I'm not going to do this no more. But yeah, so it's down to the disease, so we can look at it and look at its origin and where it's come from. But a lot of it is to do with, yeah, us now sharing DNA and mixing and, yeah, eating things that we're not supposed to.
Okay. And pretty much all those diseases, for example, already have cures. They're just not giving it to us on purpose to wipe us out, pretty much.
Yeah, I mean, you have the what we call the Riskians. These are beings that reside on the planet Risk, where the master teacher comes from. He tells you in a man from planet Risk that they've conquered every disease, even what you call death, because it's all based on like your telomeres, right? Your telomeres are how long you will live. Now you can do things to extend those telomeres, or you can do things to shorten your lifespan by way of the telomeres. And some beings were programmed for their telomeres to reach a point where they won't be able to continue. They will become extinct. This is your Adamites, because they're part of the chaos or the problem on the planet. So they've already been judged in that sense to basically wipe themselves out. And this has happened many times. There are many species that have become extinct. And, you know, there are many beings that just disappeared. Like, you know, you talk about the Mayans, and they, you know, they just, one day they weren't there. Some of these beings were taken up by crafts, and others were destroyed over time with, you know, different plagues and certain things that you're told about in the religious
and
books.
then to extend it, we have to drink something called the elixir of life, which is kind of like what, a liquid gold.
That's part of it, but it's not just for that. But yes, that's part of it. But that, together with you being highly conscious in terms of opening up your, what people call the third eye, or your pineal gland, which works with the pituitary gland, which works with like your heart seat or your chakras in terms of your aura and how your electromagnetic being is vibrating and what frequency or resonance frequency it's at. And that's how we can change the outcome of the planet, because the more people, it says also in the Holy Tablets, that if more people were wanting it and they were able to accept the truth and live in truth, then the extraterrestrials will remove these entities that are, you know, responsible
destroying the stuff,
Exactly.
destroying us and the planet.
Exactly. But yeah, in order
Okay.
to have yourself reactivated, the barythry gland is also part of that. So people think that they can just go and buy, you know, the monatomic gold, or, you know, there are many names are referring to the elixir of life, but the real one is palm of Kazet, and that's you actually produce that, but you have to be activated in many ways so that you can start to open up, and it will secrete. And only the master teacher has that formula to do that.
Right, because I heard you say on one of the new uploads that you did when y'all were around him in Tamaray in Georgia, nobody got sick.
That's right.
People getting sick once he was removed, when
That's
the government or whatever came and got him.
That's right. And not only because because he's an extraterrestrial being that emanates a certain type of vibration, frequency, energy, and the green light, which is a healing energy, but it was also ourselves, because, you know, once he was no longer in our midst, our mind, our mental state changed, and a lot of people basically started to live in dunya, as you call it, going back to living the world and being of it, as opposed to just be in it and not of it.
Right.
So we have a lot of work to do collectively as humanity, but specifically as Nagaru, you know, like we definitely gotta unite on the love.
Right. And then we're doing it now. It's just, it took so long for us to wake up.
Tua.
Last question. Recently in the news with Hillary Clinton and her husband Bill Clinton, they brought up old evidence and video footage back in 2003 when they had the war in Iraq, that they showed actual live footage of Gilgamesh's tomb, and they showed his body in the actual sarcophagus open. He was dark skinned with like long hair. It wasn't curly like non-ether. It was more like 8 or 7 long hair, and he had like the gold plates and some of the ancient and looked like Kemetic staffs and stuff around him. Was that actually real footage, and did they actually took his body and used it to, I guess, make clones or do whatever?
Yeah, they've been doing that. And this is, again, a couple of things you said, like the reason they actually, the Iraq war, the proof, was part of destroying, oh look, it's right here on top. It's part of the destruction of the evidence. So the master already told us this in many scrolls, and the proof, this one is one of them, where he was saying, like, you think it's only just about the wars, but no, it's the destruction of evidence, because when they find certain things that they don't want the world to know about, they either destroy them or take them into museums or hide them. But he's also said, with him being here right now, all truths have to be revealed. That's why, that's him coming. It's about, like we say, when the truth comes, all false things will perish. So anything that was hidden, lies, is being revealed right now. I'm trying to see if I can find where he talks about that. But yeah, that's true. That's part of, because remember that Iraq is what you're calling Mesopotamia. That's where, yes, you say Gilgamesh and most of these beings, that's that area that we call in Iraq today. That's ancient Sumer or Shinar, that Mesopotamia where Abraham and his father, they all came from. So yeah, that's part of what they do to destroy the evidence.
So they they pretty much took his whole body from out of there. So he was the actual real person. It wasn't just no story. And
Right.
then they're using his DNA and all that.
Yeah, they've been doing that even with what you're calling like dinosaurs and all of that. They've got DNA. They've done experiments. Sometimes some of these experiments go wrong, and then some of these beings escape and come out, and then people see them, or they've been controlling the narrative of findings. I'm still trying to see if I can find where that is, but yeah, definitely in this scroll, he goes into that, and he has been saying that for a very long time. Most of what people are so-called discovering today is really recovering because it's been there. But go ahead. This is your last question because I do have many questions to get through.
Oh no, I was just gonna piggyback off the Gilgamesh thing. So Gilgamesh will be considered what, a demigod or a Nephilim, or what will he be classified as?
Yeah, because those are Anunnaki. That they mixed the mixture with the Anunnaki mixed with those beings. But that is the same way as they dig up the tombs of Osiris, and that's why the master put out that scroll called Jesus Found in Egypt. Because once you find Osiris and you prove it, then what you're literally saying is the whole story is no longer a myth, because that means Isis would have existed. That means that Horus would have existed, and that means that his whole family existed. You see, so they've been doing that. They've got DNA of the beings. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, see if you can find it. It's talking about the destroy. Yeah, so Jesus Found in Egypt. This scroll is such a good book. Break through the surface of the Bible and get an in-depth understanding of the people, places, and the languages. Filled over 400 pages of diagrams, pictures, maps, Bible, and Quranic quotes translated from the original languages for you to refer to, all found in this phenomenal work, Jesus Found in Egypt. So that's showing you how they dig up the tombs, take the DNA, and they've told you that they found Osiris. But yeah, let me move on to the next question. But always appreciate, love your calls and your questions. Tawuat.
Definitely. Tawuat.
All right, Wadu. Okay, let's get back to the question. So,
that voice note.
oh yeah, let's do it. Okay, voice note. Let's listen to that.
It says it's no longer available.
Is it? Okay, we'll come back to it if it comes back. This is from Kingsley Zachariah. Is this an organization or just a chat group? It's a way of life, a culture, but obviously you have organizations within that. Yeah, so it's not just a chat group. This is a live that we do every Tuesday, as well as the classes that we do and have been doing freely since the 60s. So over 50 years or so, and we're still teaching, and we're just using the platforms, social media platforms now to help more people and reach more people. So we're actually known as the Nuwabian Islamic Hebrews, but have metamorphosized throughout the years, going through different schools and teaching and basically being submerged in those schools by the master teacher to really get us to live and study, these things, not just take it on a belief basis, and to actually have experience and examine the evidence, and then we reason things out till it makes sense. All right. So if you want to learn more, you can come to any of our classes, join any of our online classes, and come and fellowship with us. If you go to your nearest location, you can find most of the information you need on the UnitedSabiansWorldwide.com. Okay, we're going to keep looking through that book for that information about the findings that are destroyed. And if there are any student teachers in the chat, if you know where it is, just let us know so we can actually quickly read it. All right, so there's another question from Dion Fuller. Can you explain our new NIH symbol and what direction we are going in as a nation? Yeah, we actually explained it. I got a live call, but we'll take the live call and then we'll come back to that question. Greetings, Rahubat, caller. What's your name? Where you calling from? And what's your question, please?
My name is Karis Muir from Jamaica. Greetings.
Greetings. Go ahead.
Okay, so my question for today is it's a simple one, really.
Okay.
Have the elders formed alliances with beings from other planets to maybe strengthen the power and influence of the Natharu?
They haven't aligned to strengthen the power and influence of the Natharu. The Natharu, they actually work with these beings to help them, because the Natharu are the highest, and this is why you have an intergalactic federation, right? Because these extraterrestrial beings, when you have intelligence, it doesn't mean that you still don't have conflicts or disagreements. So, but they have a council or people that work together to come to a peaceful resolution. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work. So you have different extraterrestrials that will align with each other. So even like the reptilians and the draconians, they will, even the Pleiadians or the beings from, say, what they call different beings will form alliances if it's in their mutual interest. And then sometimes once they've achieved their purpose or objective, they will still fight and war and go back their separate ways. But so yeah, the intergalactic federation is where you have beings that are representing different galaxies to try and resolve or have conflict resolution. But yeah, the Natharu are the most powerful, so they don't really need others to make them more powerful. They kind of like guide and oversee, as the name implies. They're called the overseers. They oversee everything. You follow?
Yes.
Is that it, or do you have any other questions?
Okay, there is one more question I'm thinking about. So I'm thinking, like, when I was listening to Michael Jackson's song, Black and White, it got me thinking that human conflict doesn't just revolve around black people versus white people, because today and even throughout history, there's been people that look similar to each other and they fight against each other. And even light-skinned people like the Nazis and the Jewish people were at odds with each other. And look at Russia and Ukraine. So I mean, anybody can hate each other despiteful of what color they are.
That's right.
Even Africans could do harm to other Africans. So what I'm trying to get at is, even with the conflict between 6 ether beings and 9 ether beings, you said we have agreeable and disagreeable among all groups of people. So I do believe that the elite 6 ether forces that are running the government, they should be taken down. But that doesn't mean that just because I'm 9 ether, that means I should want to see all 6 ether people obliterated. It wouldn't make sense to think that way. Do you agree with that kind of thinking?
Absolutely. We don't teach that. That's what I'm saying. People will come to their own, make up their own opinions and say whatever they want to say. We teach that you have to deal with the beings. So, sometimes people will frivolously just put it all on the Muslims or the immigrants or the Jews or this group, and all of these were created, or the black people or the white people, and there are no white and black people. This is a concept. It's the people or the evil people within, let's say, you can't just generalize and say all black people or all Muslims or all Christians or all Jews. But there are disagreeable evil beings within these groups. And this 9 ether and 6 ether is eradicating those beings, no matter what color they're in, no matter what labels they want to put on themselves. That's why we say Wu-Sabat is not about labels and, you know, you're condemned if you're not a Muslim, or you're condemned if you're not a Christian. Or we bring everybody together based on actual facts and based on the being and their actions and their intentions. So it's not every so-called white person that is a bad person, or every black person that's a bad person. Even though we're using those terms, it's not that we don't promote that hate and division and you know what I mean, colorism and all that type of stuff. We promote love and unity, peace and harmony based on actual facts and truth. If you can deal with that and can vibrate and resonate with that, we're good. Anyone who says and tells the truth, we say that's true. So yeah, we definitely don't teach that, you know what I mean, we discriminate. We don't even discriminate against people based on their sexual orientation. We don't really get into people's business in their bedrooms and all of that. We have our way, our culture that we live by for us, that is beneficial to us. And you can choose to live in that way or not, but to each their own. So Wu-Sabat is for everyone who will accept the truth and accept the facts. And how do you know it's the truth and the facts? We'll prove it wrong. Because once a fact is a fact is a fact is a fact. That's it. You follow?
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome. All right, let me get back to that question about explaining our symbol.
You just got restricted on TikTok for what you were saying, but it's cool.
Really?
Yeah.
That's crazy. Do you see? They don't want to hear the truth. But anyway, going back to the question about our religious or our symbols, it's referred to, I did a video already, the last week Saturday class. I kind of went through it all, read the quotes and everything, but it's referred to as the seal of the ever living. And if you look at it, it's made up of the sun, right, which we speak about all the time, the sun cycle, the new cycle we're in, the Aquarian age. And Malachi chapter 4 verse 2 speaks about the sun, S-U-N, of righteousness coming with healing in its wings. And the sun is responsible for life on the surface of the planet. And it's not just the sun, because we're dealing with the elements. So, you know, we talk about earth, water, air, sun, etc. Those are elements, right? And the six-pointed interlocking star, again, others have borrowed these symbols, but they all originate from us. But the two pyramids, one is facing up, one is facing down, as above, so below. You see it here on our lectern. And it's representing the Ishmaelites, which you find in Genesis 25, 1 to 18. And the other one is representing the Israelites, because the religious world causes these divisions and tries to say that the Israelites are separate from the Ishmaelites. But as you know, Ishmael was the son of Abraham and Hagar, and so he was related to the Israelites. Then you have the you know, the points of the triangles or the stars that represent Judahites, Dinoites, Bashamites and Kedarites. Yeah, because so they all became one people under the Mahdiya. Yeah, so that's what the triangles represent. Because remember that the word Kedar from Kaidar is really referring to the black-skinned people, the son of Ishmael.
Voice note.
Oh, God, let's go for it.
Rahubat Moisa, Rahubat Second,
Rahubat.
Anoki Tehuti. Just a quick question regarding choices. So, like, what would be the purpose of having choices if every possible outcome already exists?
Again, I don't know where you're getting the notion that every possible outcome already exists. This is, again, religious dogma because it tells you that God knows everything. And then there were many situations where we prove that he doesn't know everything, because God can't make mistakes if he's perfect and if he knows everything. You can't say, I didn't know that the angel was going to go bad, because he was once an angel, as people say, and then he became a devil. That doesn't make sense. So people give this notion that God knows everything. Well, how does he know that, you know, the outcome that he already put together is wrong? To say, I'm going to renew or come with a New Testament, as they say, modern day Christianity from 2,000 years ago is like a renewed testament. That means mistakes were made by God in the first Torah or the Old Testament. So, yeah, there's no way that it tells you that God knows everything. To know something is after it's happened. So when you say, what's the point of making decisions, is because you control your fate by the decisions that you make. And that's why you're able to be swayed and manipulated, because somebody else would be in control of your destiny if they give you wrong information and you absorb that information and live by it. Because there's going to come a time when you'll be like, this doesn't make sense. So do you continue to be in that, you know what I mean, misinformation, or are you going to now make a decision to say, you know what, I've been following this all my life and now it doesn't make sense, so I'm not doing it anymore. You see, so you then change your life by the decisions that you make. So if you were smoking, drinking, partying, and it was affecting your health, eating wrong things, and you find out this is what's causing your demise, are you going to continue doing it? Because you're going to say to yourself, well, the outcome is already made. This breeds ignorance and it breeds laziness, because people are sitting around saying that it's already been decided. I've given my life to Jesus and he's going to come and save me. And we've waited for over 2,000 years and people are still waiting. And when you start to make it practical and say, do you believe that God will provide for you? People in religion will say, yes, God provides everything for me. Then you say, all right, then put a plate on a table and don't eat and ask God to put food on the plate. You know what will happen, right? They're going to starve to death, because the God you're talking about is you. You'll have to get up and go and cook food to eat, or order it in with Deliveroo, or go to the shop and buy the ingredients, or maybe somebody else is going to cook it for you, buy the ingredients and cook it for you. Then you will eat. But if you just go by blind faith and say, oh, it's already done, I'm going to heaven because I've been told so in a book, with no confirmations, with no facts, then, you know, you're not going to go very far. So you have to make decisions. That was the whole point of you eating the fruit of knowledge in the garden, so that your eyes will be open to what? To know good from evil, so you can make decisions. Not to believe, but to know. And the language is one of the problems because of the vibration, the tone, the frequency. Look at the trick, right? The word know. How is it spelled? Why is it spelled Kano? Because there's a K, right? K-N-O-W. What is the purpose of the K? If you take away the K, what does it say? It says now, right? You take away, and I say, how do you spell the word? How do you pronounce the word N-O? You say no. Okay, then you take away the K from knowledge, it becomes now. You put back the K is no. But you spell N-O, no, and you spell K-N-O-W, no. But you look at the first word of the word knowledge, it starts with the, to know. So if you take away the K from the word knowledge, it's still going to say knowledge. Or is it knowledge? So the tones, the vibration, the frequencies affect you because it's about the spell, the spellings. And then you look at the word belief, be lie, to be lied to, be lie Eve, or to lie to Eve. To lie to Eve that she came from the man when Eve produced men and women, because Eve is a female. See, so Wu-Sabat will dissect it and give you the actual facts. So yes, there's no such thing as all your decisions are already predetermined. There will be no point for you to have what they call will, because will means to decide what you're going to do, positive or negative or agreeable or disagreeable. All right. Okay, let me go back to the other question. So just to finish off our symbols, you have to, it's already posted in our Telegram groups, but the Ankh, right, which we call this here, it's called the Ankh Tui, or simply the double Ankh. All right, it's a symbol of the second resurrection. What's happening right now? The resurrection of those beings who are ready to wake up. And you can find this in the Revelation 20 verse 5 to 6, because it's dealing from the first part of the resurrection was from 1970 AD to the year 2000, referred to as the first half hour. And that was the first resurrection, or ended. Yeah. Yeah. You can see that also in here in the proof. That's goes into this, right? And the second half hour, right, which is, and this book here is amazing. It's called The Proof. Yeah. And it explains what, it goes into detail, but I'm going to just give you what I've got here. Yeah, the second resurrection is from the year 2000 AD to 2030 AD. This is where we are at now. And many people are waking up. It's got gems in them that deals with, if you want to know about the gems, yeah, you read the book of Revelations, it's talking about gems and it's giving you a different color of the stones. Like, have we got someone calling?
No, it's West.
All right. So you have the blue gem, which is sapphire, dealing with the Kedarites. We're going to call her?
Yes.
Okay.
It's a new one.
All right. But yeah, we've put in the Telegram group. Join the Telegram group and it's all there. But let me take this call live. Live caller, what's your name, where you calling from, and what's your question, please?
From California.
Rahubat, how you doing?
I'm well. How are you?
Doing my best, thank you.
Well, okay. So I just had a question related to your very first caller. In 2020, when in Egypt, when the tombs, there was that public ceremony and it was televised and we all saw it. What was behind, like, opening the tombs at that time? When I was viewing it, I thought, you know, God, should these tombs be disturbed this way? And why the public ceremony?
Right. Yeah, because it's desecrated. Even though it's our, ancient past, it's been desecrated. It's like going into a graveyard and digging up people's tombs and taking them out just for your own, like no one else goes to like Europe and to other parts of like other people's culture and race and digs up their dead and take them out. So
Exactly.
the whole thing, even now when you go into what you're calling Egypt, they're not the original indigenous people there. In fact, they charge you to go into certain places and you're not allowed to go into certain places. So we know that it was already desecrated, and you have beings that are taking something that was original and our stuff that was positive and doing all kinds of things with it now. So this was one of the reasons why we rebuilt Egypt of the West, Tamaray, Egypt of the West, because the master was like, if they're doing all of these things where they're desecrating and they're also now charging you, like the connection and the energy is completely different, even though it's still something to go and behold, because you know when you see those pyramids, and it's confirmation of reality that our ancestors did exist, and the writings are on the wall and the pictures are on the wall. But yeah, we don't and they're performing all kinds of what I would say rituals, and during that time as well, if my memory serves me right, it was the time when the being that people call the devil or Nana was here, and they were meeting to do certain rituals to try and have an extension. All right, they try many times. They go before our ancestors or before the Galactic Federation to request that they have an extension, because remember that this 6,000 years was actually allotted. This last 6,000 years of the moon cycle was allotted to see if they could reform, but through watching what actually has happened, the final decision was made because from 1966, this is when they were fully kind of like trying to really push Six Ether forces by way of the Church of Satan that was granted by the then President Ronald Wilson Reagan. And you look at those names, Ronald is 6 letters, Wilson is 6 letters, Reagan is 6 letters, and he sanctioned for the Church of Satan with Anton Levi to have that. And then that was the movies that go into that would be like Rosemary's Babies, the Damien movies, right? Basically. So they got an extension from 1966, but it only lasted till 1999. And this is why when the year 2000, because from 1999, that was approaching the year 2000, and they were afraid of, I've actually got a book that the master, here we go, wrote many years ago called The Year 2000 and What to Expect. This big book here. It's quite a thick book, but it goes into a lot of the detail, which I don't have time to go into right now. But that 666, 1966, and remember there was the scare of all the computers are going to crash in the year 2000.
Yes.
Right, so, but 1999 was the last time where the decision was made that no more extension will be given, and that their time will end in the year 2000. That was the end of the 6,000 year of the moon cycle. So they were doing and still are doing many things to appease their overlords. Some of that is also what's being revealed right now through all the files that are being revealed, because some of these sacrifices and rituals and things that they were performing, like the Bohemian Grove to the owl, which is Moloch, all of this was to try and appease for an extension. And so they went to New York, came here. This is Nana, and the then also President Obama. They went to Egypt and they performed all of these things, but it still didn't change anything. So they're basically being wiped out now between now and 2030.
Gotcha. Okay, so in 2020, when we're viewing the ceremony, it was in the background. It was to appeal for another extension in 2020. Is that what you're saying?
When we're doing it, no. No. What we were doing it is bringing in the 9 ether, like, because between 2020 is when, remember, the whole COVID thing hit as well.
Yes.
Yeah. And that was the extraterrestrials, like, that released that virus to affect, because between that year 2000 and 2030 is the second half hour where they've been removed from the planet or they're becoming extinct. And part of that is the wars, is the viruses that were released to attack specific genetic markers. And as you've seen,
I see.
Yeah, so from then downwards, it's just that a lot of people who were caught up were because they were in the front line, or they were like directly they were dealing with a lot of the cases, so they also contracted it. But if you were not somebody that was directly on the front line, you should not, or if your immune system and your DNA and everything hadn't been compromised with eating and doing the wrong things for many years, it would not really have affected you. And many of the people of our race that did get affected is because they already had health complications. You see, because of the bad foods and the bad things that we do to ourselves over the many years. But yeah, but initially, if you remember the maps, it was saying that the map that was showing where most of the cases were initially was not in Africa, and they were saying, oh, is it because it's hot in Africa and so on and so forth. But again, not medical advice, disclaimer, we just share the facts and knowledge, and people have to go and do their own research. But yeah, did you have another question?
I just had one other question. What caused the fall of Atlantis, and where was Atlantis actually located?
Okay. Again, we've got that in the book. It was. Do you know what they call the 3 points, or the Bermuda Triangle?
Triangle. Yes.
Yeah. What caused it is because portals open. In order for beings and people to leave here, one of the ways is to open gateways or portals. And so only those who knew how to do it will be able to do it. And so, yeah, those beings, it fell on the water because the portal opened. And that's also related to what they call they call it the Devil's Triangle, but it's because the electromagnetic pull in that area. So, they used to say that ships will disappear when they went through that area. That's because it was only metal, or ships that were made out of metal. If it was a wooden ship, it didn't have an effect on it because it's the pull of the magnetism. So, did you find it? No. So, yeah, trying to see if I can. You're asking some great questions, but go ahead.
Oh, thank you. No, that's I wanted to get that book. I have not yet been able to. I have so many to read right now. But, I just wanted to ask one more thing that has really been in my thoughts.
Go ahead.
In terms of every human being on planet Earth has DNA of the 9 ether or African DNA. Is that correct? Every human being that we see in all of the races, the Mongoloid, Caucasoid.
That's right.
Okay.
But to what level? That's the difference.
What's that?
I'm saying yes, in varying degrees or levels.
Yes. Okay. And so that means that all individuals all humans have a barotheric gland, or did have a barotheric gland, correct? Regardless of their racial group.
No, because because you have genetically made beings as well, and you have hybrids that are not produced by the natural way. So
Gotcha.
not every
Okay.
when we say all humans, we are generalizing, but no, there are beings on the planet that have been made. It's like if you was to take bananas for an example, you have natural bananas that evolve from natural nature, and then you have bananas that you take the DNA of the bananas to produce these bananas, but they look completely, they look the same as in a yellow thing that looks like a banana, but they're not the same banana because you don't get the same
Gotcha.
nutrients. So a lot of the GMO foods are not really good for you because they will actually have an impact on your DNA. It's the same when you look
Correct.
at humans. You have beings
Okay.
that every being on the planet, their DNA in some way, shape or form will be tied back to the Nagarus or the Negroids. But however, you've got other beings from outside of the planet Earth that have come here, and they, like, let's say the Anunnaki, which everybody's kind of familiar with now. They came and they took the DNA of a being that was already evolving naturally and mixed their DNA, and then literally in a laboratory created a being to respond and do things that they want that being to be able to do, like mining the gold for them. But they made or created or made this being with a specific like purpose in mind. You see, yeah. So
Okay.
that's true.
Okay, so if we're talking in terms of ether, from 5 ether to 9 ether, is it only the 9 ether beings that have the barotheric gland?
No, but the thing is,
Okay.
it's like you have the potential or the ability to have a barotheric gland, but
Exactly.
you don't
Okay.
actually have it until it's activated, and you have remnants of it because when it was surgically removed, it had to be done in a particular way. So you do have some of like the nerve endings, and why you're able to do certain things, but you're not able to do it at will. It will happen randomly. Like you may, use your intuition, but the more you are cleaning yourself inside out and becoming more in tune with nature and opening up your glands, like we say, like your pineal gland, but they do everything like to suppress it with things like, they put fluoride in many things, many products that we eat, and get the byproducts still affect you. So when you stop using fluoride, when you start doing the spiritual practices and putting it into work, Wu-Sabat, then your pineal gland is no longer calcified. So you're now able to receive more information or energy from beyond the planet. We call it information by way of Parnababyanun.
Yes, and see, I understand that not all ether beings are created in the same way, and like you said, there's varying degrees. I guess because I understand that in order to create all ether beings, the African DNA was used in the process. So that's why I was wondering: does everyone, like a 6th, 7th, 8th ether being, have potential to receive the barotheric gland as well?
Yeah, but certain beings can't, no matter what, because they have been limited in terms of, because remember, people think it's just one aspect. It's not. It's like your soul, your solar plexus, your other what we call seats. They also have an important part to play. So that's why we're saying, like, if you have a soul, you're dealing with solar, but you can also deal with the lunar. This is why you have the sun and you have the moon. There are beings that have a solar plex. Once that solar plexus is ignited, they're alive. So they will be growing towards the sun. And the sun and the energy lifts them up. But you have beings that have a lunar plex. They're alive, but they don't have that heat and the heat goes all the way to the brain in terms of the brain soup. It has to be heated to a specific temperature in order for the, like I said, the other, like your pineal gland, etc., to then be activated. And then the icing on the cake would be that you then get your barythry gland also activated, and then all of these, they line and work together. Even your heart seat. Yeah, the heart seat is the green energy that deals with love, yeah, and compassion and care. And if that's not there, you may be able to have a solar plex, but your heart seat doesn't have the unconditional love, divine love. So now it's almost like when you look at an engine. In order for it to drive, or for the car to move, it doesn't only depend on like the tires. It needs petrol, then it needs the ignition, it needs the piston if you're obviously using, if it's not an electric car. And if it's an electric car, you need to charge it. And all of these, then you need the steering wheel for it to be moved in the direction. So we are complex beings with a physical body, a spiritual body, a soul body, a mental body, an etheric being. They all have to be able to align and work together. And so, so some beings are able to ride, say for example, a 6 ether mukasu, or what we call Caucasian, can mix with a 9 ether being, and that will raise her up. You see, so yeah, but like the 5 ether beings can't, and there are certain beings that can only go up to a certain level. This is why even with the what we call the Homo florensis and the Homo the Denisovan, that's why all throughout the years, everybody that was teaching you about these seats called chakras, they basically got to a point where they were telling you they're only 7. But as 9 ether, we knew or have access to the other 2, making us able to have 9. So they can only go to a certain level, and then in order to go further, they will definitely need the Nagaru to take them further.
Yes, and they can only speak on the 7. And so, you know, I'm in certain spaces where we talk about the chakras.
Yeah.
And just mentioning that there are 2 others, it's like, you know, it's not everyone has that. So it's a very interesting dynamic to gain all of this knowledge and then see where, you know, in the public space where it falls short, where you can't have these conversations because there's not an awareness.
Absolutely.
So,
and that's the reality where they don't want to recognize your divinity, you know, because it becomes, you know, you can't be yourself, because then it's almost like you're saying you're superior. We are who we are, whether we accept it or like it or not. You can't change who you are, you know, so you dumb it down as a result. Well, you know, that's what people do, but we're not supposed to. We're supposed to not have to. We've been dumbed down because we've been under the 6 ether and the forces that are pulling you to come down, so that they can then look like, and they actually have pushed superiority and all of this kind of stuff, and like, but the truth is being revealed now. So, and it's not even about I'm better than you or anything like that. It's just like truth is truth, and it is what it is.
Yes. It's so true. Well, I don't want to keep you, but I will call back some other time, because in my work as a raw vegan chef, I have really noticed a lot of different aspects about what humans and different racial groups can, you know, accept in terms of having, you know, fruits and vegetables and how it charges the body differently. And like you said, not every being is going to receive fruits and vegetables or have their body charged as I think a 9 ether being would. So,
absolutely.
Right. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. Anytime. All right. Okay, let me go to another.
Loads in the WhatsApp.
What question?
Voice notes, everything, yeah.
All right, let's go for the voice
notes. Loads of missed calls, loads of voice notes.
Okay, let's go through them. we may maybe go on.
Hello, this is Clinton from Northern Ireland. Shout out.
It's not as cool as I was playing it.
Yeah, I know. A lot of people are waking up. Rahul back, call up. What's your name? Where you calling from? If you can just say your name, where you're calling from, and then ask your question, please.
Hey, how are you doing? This is Jarrell calling from Birmingham, Alabama, in the States.
Tour.
Rahubat.
Rahubat, go ahead.
Hey, so I wanted to reach out to you. Sometimes I go on the internet and I do certain things, or if I'm at work, if I don't have any books to read, I pull up certain videos, I listen to certain things, or I may even engage my AI or Chat GPT to pull up certain informations, and I request that it stick strictly to doctrine. So I recently did that with some of Dr. York's information, and I ran across something that was rather peculiar, and I wanted to bring it to your attention. Is it okay if I also send you some screenshots of the information that I took off of there?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, give me a quick second. All right, and I will send you
No problem.
some screenshots. Okay, I got them right here. Give me a sec.
Ray San Andreas sent £10.
Is it? We got loads of questions.
Okay.
I'm gonna try my best to get through.
All right, I just sent them over.
All right.
Now, I was asking for it to go over information about the different ethers, from the lowest to highest, some of the qualities of those ethers, to speak on the information about which ethers have souls, which ethers do not have it. And the way that it was interpreting and going over the information, even when I asked it to back up and stick strictly to doctrine based off of what I know and what you brothers teach on OSM, it was interpreting the soul as the spirit and the spirit as the soul.
Right, we know this.
And it was saying, and are you able to see that on the screenshots I sent you too? How it's trying to say that it is? Because it appeared backwards to me.
Yeah, I got them. I'm looking at him. Yeah, we know this. We know what they teach. But go ahead. I'm following you.
No, so I just wanted to bring that to the table. Does it look like the AI is trying to teach it wrong and misdirect on your understanding of the soul and the spirit?
Okay, so firstly, you have to recognize how AI works. AI will actually crawl the internet and find information. Remember, Dr. York was teaching and has been teaching since the 60s. And so he's moved through different schools, and some of the information has evolved and grown or been more expounded on. And one of the things he pointed out in taking us through the religious schools, he was teaching us based on what they were saying, but then he would expound on it later on. So one of the things he pointed out was the fact that people that don't have a soul misinterpreted or translated the word soul and spirit as if it's the same, or they did it back to front. So you will see where it says spirit a lot of the times, it doesn't actually say spirit in the language, so it would actually be soul. But looking at the first thing you've posted, it's saying spirit is light. It's the animating force, enters the body to activate it, returns to the etheric current at death. And then soul is constructed, recording. But yes, also they do mix up the information. That's the point I was making, that they don't know, or they're not able to distinguish between the old doctrines or information when we were in the schools of religion to the hereafter, which is way ahead. And it's only knowing that now because we are posting and people are posting things on the internet. So if you want to be up to date, then you have to read like the Partaruks, which we actually have ones that deal with soul, spirit. We deal with the soulmate. We got, he goes into a lot of information. For example, there are two spirits. that you're not taught in religion. There are two souls that you're not taught about in religion. And the two for the spirit, one of them is the one they use in the religious world, where they will say nafish or nafs, okay, which is just dealing with in fact, let me just read something for you, dealing with like I say many times, that everything vibrates and has what we would call a spirit, but not everything has a soul. And there are two souls. So he's going into the detail that you're not going to find in the religious books. Is the light not the soul? Yeah, so I mean, it's actually not that far off, because when he's saying things like the spirit is the light, not the soul, it's because light would be less, because light is actually contained, and is contained within the darkness, and light can be measured, the speed of light, for example. So it's just, yeah, it's a bit mixed up, but that's why you have to read the current information. So I mean, it's probably easier if you're asking a question about, see that, like for example, they say the soul is the recording device, stores identity, experience, what gets recycled, right? It's what reincarnates, that which is true, because the soul, okay, sorry, I'm being distracted by your post, but I'm just trying to read it so that I can, then what did you have here? So the idea that only 9 ether have soul is not York's teachings. That's a later inversion. Right, so how can they teach about things they know nothing about? Because up until recently, they weren't even accepting that there's something called ether. I mean, now some scientists are starting to accept it, because when they say, okay, if the speed of light is restricted, yeah, what's restricting it? What's restricting the speed of light if there's nothing else? That's ether. Ether is what's responsible for restricting the speed of light. Because no matter how fast light goes within what they call darkness, the darkness still exists and still continues. I'm trying to find soul, spirit. If you haven't got that part of that, sorry, I'll find it, no way. You need to read that, because it goes into the details of the two. So for example, here you go. Soul, spirit.
Okay.
This is a very tiny, small part of it that you can read quite quickly. But let me read it, because it explains it. So it says here, do you know and remember all I said to you of them? That is soul, and spirit. Nuwapians, I told you Ba'a is a soul. Then the second one is Rawa, soul. So in the Bible, they would only teach you about Rawa, but they'll say Ruach, which is dealing with the air or the breath. Okay, but then you have a part of you that deals with your emotional aspect. And then again, he carries on. He says, and I spoke to you about the Ka'a, spirit, and Nafas. Again, the Nafas. So these are the two spirits, the Ka'a and the Nafas. Nafish, which is what in the Bible they will say Nafish and Nafs in Arabic. And then he goes on to say, and about the Ark, which is the etheric being, and then the Hu, which is the oversoul. And then it goes on, and you ask about these parts of your existence. So the Pa Hu is the overbeing. The Pa Ark is the etheric being. The Pa Ba'a, this is one of your souls, is the creative expressional being. And then the Rawa, like I said before, is the breath of living. So now, if you are breathing, then you're going through that process of taking in oxygen and giving up carbon dioxide, which means that you have a live fire, or your solar plexus burning. So if you're alive, you're going to have that breath of life, because you have to breathe when you're on this 3D atmosphere. So now, if you didn't, but you can have that part of you and not have the what we call the creative expressional being, which is the other part of your soul. This needs to be ignited for it to be basically active and work. And so it goes on. The Pa-Ka'a is the exoplasmic being. Yeah. The Pa-Nafs, this is the two spirits. The living being, and then Pa-Khatat, which is your physical being. And obviously, as you continue to read, it will make it very clear that some people have one or the other or none. So if you don't have a solar plexus that is ignited, you will have the lunar plex, which means that even though you're breathing, you're giving off, for lack of a better word, a poisonous spirit or poison. Like this, why people breathe in and others have to feed off of the energy of the breath of the ones that actually have the life force. Yeah. So, yeah, he does go into the detail of, like, for example, the Ba'a, the soul, creative expression of the emotional being. And there is a counter soul called, in our language, Parawa, called also the soul. Yet, it is breath or wind and affects the body actions. It ignites with the first human breath of air or the mixture of gases, ether one breathes. Yeah, the atmosphere or breath. So when a baby is born, that first breath that they take, that's what starts and ignites the that soul. And then it goes on to say, now we look at the Pa-Ka'a, called the spirit. Ghost plasma comes into being at the moment of sperm and ovum contact or spermatozoa fertilizing an oocyte or egg. The sperm head is the spark. It thinks, it travels in the liquid or fluids in the womb through the heat to survive and to reach its destiny. So there is mental activity in the male sperm from the brain of the male, from being the oversoul, called the synapses or brain synapses. This is what I was saying previously about the heating of the brain newts. It's called nutat, brain newts. The thinking process started in the two testicles, Pa-Chasaitui, creates Pa-Manan, the sperm, semen, and seman, the liquid male seed. This is divine mind at work. Of course, we don't have time to read the whole scroll. But yeah, definitely.
So, Sakim,
Tua.
So let me say this to you, and I appreciate you taking the time to break that down. But let me say this, and this is what I've noticed as I dive through information, as I use the internet. It's our fastest form of transferring this information. And then, with this release of all this information that's starting to come these days, there's also counter effects that are taking place to counter the truths that we are picking up and that we are learning, to help stall the process or to slow it down from the inevitable of getting to where it's going to end up in the long run, once we all awaken and we have the information gained and obtained and we start to live and move by it. One of the things I've noticed with AI is that if you tinker with AI and play with it a little bit via conversation, there's certain moments you can get it to reveal some truths, but then there are filters that kick in that will do things to counter that truth. I honestly believe, Sakim, that this right here was an example of it trying to counter the teachings of Dr. York and to flip the understanding and beliefs of what a soul versus a spirit is. Because if you flip it, then and you're not knowledgeable to have the books that you have, or to be tapped with the videos that you have, then you're going to live it that way, that it's explaining it in the opposite, and it can keep you from achieving the ultimate goals as far as how to live when you have a soul, and how to keep that soul and move forward with that soul.
That's right.
Because it knows enough like for instance, the screenshots I sent you, it knows enough how to break down which both are, but then it conveniently just flips it on the other end.
Yeah.
But hey, this one's that and that one's this.
That's right, 100%. And this is where your discernment comes in. But it's like if you are an eagle and you're raised amongst chickens, you're going to think you can't fly to the heights that, an eagle can. And you may even believe that, but it doesn't change your DNA. It doesn't change the fact that one day something somehow in your DNA is going to kick in, and you're going to, you might just see another eagle or whatever. So that's the whole point of limiting information. Because I was saying, because this book we put out, Fast Track Your Spiritual and Conscious Journey, I actually break down the different types of soul and the different ethers and so on and so forth, because we do know that this is the thing. People think Google or AI or that they're so intelligent, but it's called artificial intelligence. So
right.
It's like, yes, you will find a lot of information. And I must say, I've been quite surprisingly impressed that the biasness that we used to have previously with when you were searching information that Dr. York put out many years ago, what the results you used to get were just like, no, it's not true, it's not this. But now you're actually finding that a lot of it is starting to come out and align and correlate with what he was saying, because other people have started to also put it out. And because the truth is the truth. You can't really, he used to say, it doesn't matter, one day it will all come out and people will know.
Right.
And this is what's happening now. So I hear other races explaining and talking about, and see people that have really done their research and studies, they don't deny what we're saying. But of course, you always have the small faction that is always going to try to keep you from waking up, but yeah, right. There's a I'm trying to find it, but yeah, in this book I go into a lot of information and break down the different here you go, from if you look at, we've got an appendix on page 138 that goes through the different, like even before that, the different ethers on the previous page. And it's a diagram that literally goes from the different beings, the different kind of senses, the ether levels, and gives you a lot of information. So another good resource to pick up. But yeah, I've got so many questions to get through. And does that help, or is there anything else?
No. That was pretty much it. I just wanted to point it out to you guys so you can be aware of what's happening out there with the information that you're constantly teaching. They're finding different ways to try to manipulate it so it's not fully understood. Because once you have a perfect understanding of it, the master
teacher said there's going to come a time where, because remember the phrase that most people know him by was saying, "Don't believe me, check it out." But eventually he said there's going to come a time where, as an extraterrestrial, as a visitor to this planet, I'm going to start putting information out that nobody else has, and you're not going to be able to check it, because some of the kind of like mainstream, they wait for his information, because now you can look at the holy tablets that he put out years ago and things that he put out before they discovered them, and they confirmed it afterwards. So yeah, there will be a time. That's why we're saying, like, you have to be with him as the person that is the authority on this knowledge and information from our
exactly.
All right, Tawuat.
Well, look, I thank you. I thank you very much. And we've spoken before. I'm the guy that the lightning follows a lot. And so, so I wanted to pull that to you. If I see anything else, I'll be sure to let you brothers know, okay?
Thank you. Tawat.
All right. Take care.
Wadu. All right, go on, let's go for it.
Shout out to Sequen. Visited him in London in Nashat shop. So shout out to you and everything you're doing.
Thank you.
My question is, you've mentioned about having voices from different part of your ancestry. I'm just wondering, how do you know which voice is agreeable and which one is disagreeable? Because sometimes you're going to get hunches to go down certain paths, and it's not always obvious which one is sort of guiding you. But yeah, thank you.
Tua. So the answer to that is actually quite simple. It's based on the outcome. This is why I was saying that you learn through experience. So the voices in your head that tell you to do the right thing, you will see the result is going to be positive, and a lot of the times it's going to be based on an outcome that's going to be beneficial to more than yourself. Yeah, so if that voice is telling you to do the right thing by everyone, then it's more likely to be the truth. So that's what we're talking about, the soul, like, because the spirit is more attached to things for the individual or for yourself. And a lot of the times when you're doing things for yourself, not saying you can't do things for yourself, but if it's based on selfishness and based on me, myself, and I, and just then, you know, the outcome, you're the one that it's that voice that normally gets you into trouble, meaning that the real Trinity is you. There are three, in the sense that who you really are, that's one. Who you think you are or you see yourself as, that's number two. And then number three is how other people see you. And the one that gets you in trouble most of the time is the one you see yourself as. So let's say, for example, you might see yourself as being, as they say, tall, dark, and handsome. I'm just using this as an analogy, right? And then, but in reality, you're actually not tall, you're short or whatever. So, and then the one that other people see you as can get you in trouble, because they will put you on a pedestal, or, you know, like give you all of these accolades, and you may then start saying to yourself, you know what, maybe I am. And you start to deal with projection and reflection, where you're storing these images and information. So the answer is you tell by the outcome. And every time you follow that voice, if it leads you to, you know, something that brings you pain, suffering, then you note that and you're like, okay, next time I'm not going to listen to that voice. Over time, it does take time, because you hear the inner voice that will tell you, don't go down that road, for example. And let's say you didn't abide by that, and you went down the road, and then something negative happens, or where you're like, you know, I knew I shouldn't have gone down that road. The next time you're in that situation, you're going to learn from that and be like, you know what? So you have to learn to hear the true voice. It's not easy, but you know when a voice is trying to tell you to go and do something or follow and make a decision that it's not going to be a positive outcome. And then when you dismiss the true inner voice, you find yourself in trouble. And then you do it over and over again until the point where you will learn, and you'll be like, nah, this time I'm not going down that road. All right, next question, please.
What can you tell me about the Arcturians? And you guys definitely should team up with Billy Carson.
Again, when people, we always say this, like, the question is just so broad. Like, tell me about the Arcturians. It's like, tell me about the Asian people. or tell me about African people, or tell me about white people or Caucasian people. It's like, what exactly do you want to know? Like, beings from Arcturus, there are many beings. Like, there's so much information, so I'm going to kind of skip that, but we explain about the different beings in the extraterrestrial videos already. So there are beings that come from Arcturus. They've worked with certain people. They work with the Andromedans. They are partly responsible. They work with the Pleiadians and created the Adamites. So yeah, it's very broad. I don't know exactly what you want to know about them, so be more specific. And as far as teaming up with Bill Carson, I mean, what do we mean by teaming up? I mean, we will collaborate and work with people that are pushing out facts and information, but honestly, Wu-Sabat is in its own league completely. But like we say, we work with people who want to teach actual facts and truth and spread Wu-Sabat no matter who they are. So let's move on to the next question.
Rahubat. I just have a few quick questions. One, my question is, what's a good way, I guess you could say, to unlock your genetics? I take a lot of herbs. I go to the gym. I cleanse. I do all the good stuff. But I'm just trying to understand, is that the appropriate way to unlock my genetics, or should I be doing other things?
Yeah, that's good. All those things you mentioned are great, and you should do that. But again, we keep saying to people that it depends how when you say unlock, the master teacher is the one that can, like, you could be doing everything and you may not have what we call a shuk. It would then mean that everything you're doing or have done is kind of in vain, because a shuk is that divine love. But even then, if you read Patarat, the Golden Children, 24 Elders, these are scrolls by the Master Teacher, Parnabab Yanun. There are certain aspects of your being that he, the only one, will be able to unlock or touch you or activate, and it could be, he can come to you. You can, be fortunate enough to go to him if you know how, and it can also be in the flesh or physical. This is why we say to people, come closer, be involved and be amongst family, because the energy that's generated by being together and working together, as is something that there are other things that we can't divulge that you will get to learn and know by, being in the family. So you could be doing everything out there, but it's still about the love and the unity and the unification and being in the right place at the right time to receive what you need to unlock. Right, next, please.
Yes, sir. My other question is, this is going to be kind of a long one, a little bit. I'm aware that in the upcoming years, most religions are going to become non-existent, and mainly the whole AI and the technology thing is really going to be a huge impact. I've heard from other people on YouTube that the entities like the Greys, the Draconians, and some of the Pleiadians that are on the wrong side, I guess you could say, they have a AI overlord or something that they are in league with. I just wanted like a little bit more understanding on that and how will that play a role in our future.
I didn't hear that bit. AI overlord, did you say?
It's going to be a huge impact. I've heard from other people on YouTube that the entities like the Greys, the Draconians, and some of the Pleiadians that are on the wrong side, I guess you could say, they have a AI overlord or something that they are in league with. I just wanted like a little bit more understanding on that.
Okay, so yeah, we've already explained that AI was from extraterrestrial, and it's about them utilizing it to, in effect, as we've all heard, wipe out humanity. So there are positive things with AI, and as usual, excuse me, we've got to be on top of it. So, an artificial intelligence is not going to ever be smarter than the collective minds of beings that are unlimited. Having said that, they are learning, like they're learning to take control and to, so with any extraterrestrial strategy, they will always give you things and dumb you down so that you become reliant on it to the point where then, like they show you, movies of the future like The Matrix, The Terminator, and all of these movies, and the biggest threat is that AI will supersede or surpass man and then annihilate humankind, but not those who are not relying on it to the point where that you're actually becoming like you're canceling out yourself. Basically, it's the same thing we say with like smartphones, or you're not going to willingly accept a chip to integrate you through maybe companies like Neuralink or whatever that are going to hook you up to an internet or hook you up so that they're merging man and machine to the point where you're now being controlled, because having a chip in you is allowing some external thing to be able to control you. Like everything is becoming more remote, like electric cars. And so, yeah, it's about knowing and being in the right place with the right guidance. This is why there are things that you're only ever going to get to be able to navigate and protect yourself by the master teacher. We're going to keep saying that over and over and over again until people get it, that he is an extraterrestrial that knows the way. And sometimes we want to find ways of circumventing what we need to do, but there is no shortcuts or other way around this. Like, there are no other beings on the planet claiming that they are the supreme being, an extraterrestrial from a planet from Risk, and has proven himself and telling us things are going to happen and what we need to do as collectively as humanity to avoid the fate that will befall us if we don't get our act together. So yeah, reading and hearing this and that from other people on the internet, it's all good. But at the end of the day, there's the one that really knows. And that's why we're here as a student teachers, to bring you to that knowledge. Have we got any more? Go on then, because
about eating meat is the human body is designed to eat and digest meat. However, spirituality always dictates that you can't eat meat. However, technically, anything you eat is dead. Even if you cut a plant, it is living more than in beef or anything like that. Can you go into spirituality and if you should or should not eat beef, or if it's just a bunch of nonsense?
Again, like anything somebody says, right, there are going to be people who say the opposite to it. And we are not here stopping anyone from eating meat. They want to eat meat, they can eat meat. However, those who know and have experienced the benefits, I'm talking about even just on a health perspective, like it's been proven by many scientists now. But ultimately, what's important is the vibration and the energy of what you're consuming. So it's well known by nutritionists that you've got foods that are alive and you've got foods that are dead. But even though you may say like, okay, the fruit is dead, the fruit's been designed for you to consume. And so the the vibration and the energy. This is where you get the acidic versus the alkaline, or what we call electric foods, which are going to give you energy. Dead things are dead. And so it's not the fact that they're dead, it's about the energy that it's providing and the frequencies that it's keeping you at. So a simple analogy would be like if you're carrying something that's going to weigh you down and hold you back, like you're carrying load, it's going to slow you down. And when you're lighter, you're going to move swiftly and more quickly. So when you add all of this together and look at the way, like you said, that we are designed to eat meat, not everyone, some people are, because of the mixtures that they may have in their DNA with other animals. So if you've got animal DNA within you, like you might have porcine, or you might have canine, or you may have simian, then it's already in your genetics to be able to do that. Not everybody has the same genetic makeup, so it will affect somebody else differently than it would another person. So even if you just look at like the way that animals are being bred or unalived and how long they're keeping them, it's like dead flesh rottens and deteriorates. So imagine that's in your system and it's not going anywhere for a long period of time. So within the time period it takes you to take that through your system, and they're adding all kinds of chemicals and, you know, even in the food we eat. We're not saying that you can be completely able to avoid even with the fruits and the veg, but it's a better alternative than the blood meat and the dead meat, and that, you know, the best healthy option is to eat, like I said, people that study nutrition will tell you, like, it's best to either have a vegan, that's the best, and then a vegetarian. But yeah, the consumption of meat brings about so many issues. And there are many people that are health practitioners that will tell you this. So it's up to you. You either do it or you don't, but it's your choice. All right, let's go to the next question.
Also, what can you tell you about the grays and the abductions? I was taken when I was younger, so I'm definitely through it and have made my peace with it. But I definitely have some forgotten memories or things like that. So what can you talk about the grays, abductions, and then also could you note on how they've implemented technology into society, and if it's good or bad? Thank you.
With the grays and the abductions, that's going to be on an individual basis and their experience. Some are abducted in a horrific way, experimented on, you know, probed, even maybe inserted with, you know, chips and devices so they can keep monitoring you. Some, it's a more agreeable experience where they pass on messages or utilize you as a vessel to share message. It all depends on the person's experience. We know that, you know, with the master teacher, when he was being abducted and taken away, he was being taken away to be groomed and loaded with information to come and help us and to help bring the knowledge and the mentality of people and raise their consciousness and their vibration to be ready to evolve into the world that the planet is shifting into and our galaxy is moving to, so that we can become a part of the galactic community. So he was taken up, and you know, he had probed as well with things in his nose. He used to have a lot of nosebleeds, but he was taken up on crafts and shown things, star maps, and taught who he was and where he's from and what his mission is and what he's to do. So many people have hypnotic regression. In fact, I did a video recently that you should watch with the sister that has been also abducted. And worldwide, different people will tell you, different races, different people from different walks of life in terms of their, you know, status in life, whether they're just, regular Joe to presidents that have had extraterrestrial experiences. So different people will give their accounts, and you'd have to speak to people. As far as they're bad or good, there are agreeable ones and there are disagreeable ones. There are those who are trying to help humanity and give information and warn us about what we're doing. And then there are those that don't like humans and they feel like we're causing the planet its demise by the things we're doing. So some of them want to take humans out because they look at you as man infestation. Just like when you have, roaches or some other infestation in your abode, you don't like it, right? Imagine you have, a lot of ants, insects, rats, mice in your house, and all they're doing is causing havoc. That's an infestation. But you got manifestation, and man is infesting the planet. And so some extraterrestrials don't actually like our behavior in terms of how we treat each other, what we do to the planet, what we do to the animals, etc., etc. So each situation will have to be dealt with on an individual basis. Next question, please.
Hi, second. Please let me know, how are you different from those individual YouTubers who are also talking about spirituality? Are you different from them? Are they different?
That's such a great question.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Please let me know. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, we're definitely different. We're different because that's such a great question, because I was actually thinking about that this week. Sometimes I go into contemplation and I was like, a lot of people these days just have information just to say, I know. That's it. Like, I know, I can talk and speak about things that sound deep. But the reality with us, and when I say us as Nuwapian Sabians or students of the master teacher, it's like, what are you actually doing to help people? Is it just to talk and it sounds good? Or are you actually bringing people to the master teacher, because he's the one that's going to take us in terms of, you just mentioned spirituality. Everyone now thinks they're spiritual. Everyone is a guru. Everyone is, conscious. Everyone is talking Egypt. Everyone's talking Anunnaki. So when we start getting into, okay, you sound heavy, sounds great, where are you going? Like, what are you building? What are you actually doing? Are you able to give us something new, not regurgitating or following what everyone else has said? The master teacher's like always able to give us something new. And we're currently going through another metamorphosis, as I said, where he's now given us new symbols. Like, we are always ahead of the pack. There's nothing anyone else out there is saying on social media, YouTube, whatever, books that they've written, that we haven't been saying for so much longer. Our symbols are different. Yeah, you have people that have the Ankh. Well, we come with the Ankh Tui. Like, what does that represent? Double resurrection. What's the double resurrection? We go into it. We tell you what's going to be happening in 2030 because of the master teacher, because he has always kept us ahead, you see. So he's the only one with 3 tones in one that can open up gateways, and he can literally save your life if we get to the point where, the planet is becoming at a point where there's no hope. And all he has to do is open gateways and take you through to different places. It may be by crafts, it could be in any way, but there's nobody on the planet. And I know that because when you want to know the truth, when you want to know something and you have that zeal to find out, you have to test and check everyone else out who's teaching. And there isn't no one out there. If there is, bring them to my attention and let's scrutinize them. Let's find out if they are real. You know what I mean? So yeah, Wu-Sabat, different class of its own. The master teacher, no one like that on the planet. All right, let's go on to the next one.
Good day. I've been thinking about the concept of beginnings, you know. I wanted to ask this, if everything has a starting point, then where is the beginning of God? Because we are taught God created heaven and earth, right, on the universe. But what existed before that? What was God doing before the creation? That's what I want to understand. Thank you.
Again, that's the religious mindset. We're taught that God did this and did that. But as we've explained and I've shown many times, your concept of God creating everything is inaccurate. You know, your concept of God is really different extraterrestrials that did things that were recorded in ancient tablets that got, you know, passed over to the English today, and the English is restricting. So everything that you read about God starts with creation. God created, right? And we have explained to you that creation literally means to grow. And it has to take something that already, you even said it in your question, there's a difference between existence and creation. Because the gods you're talking about were already there. And then they took things to create. And the concept that it was done in 6 days and then they rested on the 7th day, that's just like, it's so basic that when you really go into it, when you say beginnings, there are many beginnings. In fact, what happens when you don't use time as you know it? Because to have a beginning is to be able to count or to be able to quantify things and be able to say, like, how do you know a beginning without an end? And so the concept of a beginning is only based on how long do you count backwards and how far do you go to say this is the beginning. The religious world they count backwards to 6,000 years and call that the beginning. But then when you point out that there were people and beings that lived prior to 6,000 years, in fact, millions of years, then that's a new beginning, because whoever those people are, and you know, we mentioned them, the Chinese, the Zoroastrians, the Mayans, the Sumerians, the Hindus, the Africans, the ancient Egyptians, all of those exist before 6,000 years ago. So which beginning are you going to? And then you go to another beginning, which is, all right, what was here before humans? And how did the planet come to be? Is it the beginning of the planet? And if it's the beginning of the planet, you have a whole solar system with different planets. What's the beginning of those planets? What's the beginning of the entire solar system? What's the beginning of the universe? See, as we keep going, your concept of the beginning will change. And so what we're saying is, you've been given a fictitious story of the beginning, in the beginning. How can you be in something and it's the beginning, not at the beginning? Because there is no such thing that you're calling the beginning, because once you come outside of the time belt that our planet is used to give you what you're calling time, there is space. Space is not empty. So space contains something. And then you have matter, and then what you call time. So we teach you of the beginnings of these beings and where they come from. The master teacher starts off with the holy tablets telling you that I'm going to take you to a time zone that is so far before your time zone, 76 trillion years. You can't even really, like, if you look at 6,000 years to 76 trillion years, it's completely incomprehensible to some people. So yeah, you got to read the scrolls. Who and what is God? The basic scrolls that deal with this God concept. All right, let me have a few questions from this. One more. All right, go ahead. Sorry, my
Is
throat.
divine source theory correct, where all is one, where we are all part of a collective consciousness, what everybody calls source consciousness?
Yeah, again, another question dealing with this beginning. When you say source, I'm going to drink some of this. Excuse me. Man, they've done a good job of messing up our minds with this. When you say source, what comes to mind when you say source? Everyone is obsessed with trying to find the beginning, but we keep telling you there is no such thing like the beginning, because when you get to the beginning, you found one, yeah? There's another beginning, and you get to that beginning, there's another beginning, and it goes on and on and on, because the source is ether. Yeah? Excuse me, my throat. The source is ether. Thank you very much. Tautak. Excuse me, let me just get some water. I'm literally talking and sharing knowledge all day. So forgive me sometimes. Yeah, the source. You know what it is as well, is the language. The language is the spell. Because when you're saying the source in your head, you're trying to figure out what that is. And, you know, you have many sources that you put on food. But where do you get that word from? Because when you translate it, it's nothing or ether. Because ether appears as nothingness, but it is actually something. And space appears as nothingness, but it's something. Because when you go into space, you can keep going and going and going and going. It's endless. So the source is ether. And ether returns back to ether. Ether breaks down into different forms of ether. That's why we have 9 ether, 8 ether, and then you come to what we call things where we know where we start from, like where we say coming in this direction, we would say things are manifesting from ether into, first of all, you get to the point of 0, and then you start off with things, you say hydrogen or H1, H2, H3, coming in this direction to the tangible world. But as you're going into the other direction beyond what you're calling hydrogen, remember hydrogen again, hydro, water. Yeah, so you're going beyond the state of water in a form. But water is also steam, which you can't see, you know, you can't really see, but it's there. Like air is there. And that's where you're going into the levels of ether. And there are 9 levels of those, or we say 9 to the 9th power of 9. Right, do you have more?
No.
Okay. Right, we're going to breeze through a lot of the ones on the chat. I always feel bad for the people that don't get their questions answered, because you come on late and then you don't stay till the end. So you have to go into our Telegram group to continue asking your questions until the class that comes on Saturday. Reye Sananda, thank you so much for your donation. And your question, could Thoth Mose be classed as the first Ibri? No, because the word Ibri relates to the Anunnaki and Abraham, because the word Ibri becomes Hebrew, and you hear Nibiru, planet of the crossing. That's where you're really getting it from, because it's called planet of the crossing, Nibiru. Yeah. Or is it just exclusive for Ibrahim? Yeah, Abraham, because it was an expression that was used to say he is crossing over, or he's an Ibri or a Hebrew. But not in the context of a religion, but in the context of an action. So, because he didn't practice the monotheistic religions that came from him and his father, because they were actually practicing Zoroastrianism, which is, you know, they were worshiping different gods and everything. So, yeah, it's more applying to him. I mean, how you could say it relates to Thutmose in the sense of, remember, he was supposedly found in a basket and it was taken into Egypt. So they tried to separate the Israelites and the Egyptians, or the Ishmaelites, but they're really one people. All right, let me go back to the questions. This is from Nathan. It says, someone here, Reverend, like, yeah, people will try and attach different names, because when you say the name was not originally Sophia, but Sophia, okay, was one of the group of gods from the Eden project who created man in the image. They were light-skinned, Nordic ancestors. Yeah, that's dealing with a different creation, you're right, of these Nordics. But yeah, there are different titles that people use to attribute and say this, it was this way, it was that way. But we have records that go way beyond everyone else. Go ahead.
Caller.
Oh, real life caller. What's your name? Where you calling from? And Rahubat, what's your question?
Rahubat, Q calling from the States. Just piggybacking off of what you just said, just for some clarity and clarification on it. With that story of Yaqub, when you said that he was going around the borders of the continent of Africa and dropping off people, was it the people that he was dropping off, were those what we classify today as what those Neanderthals, Flugeroids, and some of those like Arabic looking beings that look like us, that's not us? Like they're brown skin, but their facial features are more like Arab or Caucasian. It's like, let's say like Ethiopian, Somalian, or Eritrean people, or the same type of people that's in Morocco today?
Yes, because what was happening is that he went through a process of taking the darker genes and then, you know, going from the black and brown to the red, to the yeah, basically like continuously doing this genetic experiment to remove the darker complexions and colors. But some of his like his scientists and people that were working with him, they also kind of like jumped ship. And yeah, some of those beings as well, some of them were just being thrown off because once he had got to a particular like I said, from the black and the brown, once he got to the yellow, then he kind of had no need for the darker ones. Then he would go to the red, and then eventually to the pale. And as you said, the Flugeroids were the final creation. But yeah, a lot of them were being dropped and jumped off on the journey.
Is that still why to this day in certain countries in Africa, just like on that outside borderline, those specific facial features or quality of people are always on that outside border countries
That's right.
of Africa, and there's none that's going deeper into Africa really that you could find?
That's right, because when you look at their features, they have a lot of alkaline features, you know, like, you know, the straight nose, the thin lips, and they look a particular way. Even though they do have the brown complexion. And you look at their hair is more like 7 to 6 ether hair. Mm-hmm. And this is where the whole tribe of Shabazz
They're not considered a Negroid seed then, even though they were used from it. They don't classify or see themselves as a Negroid seed. They see themselves as something different.
Yes, and that's why there's a conflict a lot of the times between those beings, because they kind of like, even though they have the brown complexion, their mentality. This is that whole video we did on I Show Speeds when he was touring and going to different parts of Africa, and he started to get a little bit more of that, I guess, colorism and racism from those beings, that the more like the North Africa and kind of on the coastline. So they sometimes they choose which way they lean. Unfortunately, I mean, we can't be judgmental in terms of everyone, but yeah, some of them, for example, the beings that are in North Africa, like more like from Egypt, that today, a lot of them, if you say to them you're not the original inhabitants of Africa, or they will say they don't even classify Egypt as being in Africa. They kind of talk about it like it's not in Africa. And so they have, a lot of them have been given the wrong outlook in life, and they tend to, if you say as a black person that you're from Egypt, they kind of look at you like, no, you're not. But then the walls and the pictures in Egypt tell the story. But yes, that's where they would lean more when it suits them to more the Caucasian or the European side. And then if there's an issue where they're not wanted over that side, then they will lean more to the Nagaru side. So
they could play both sides because they have the complexion for the selection.
Exactly. It's like today where you may have someone that's mixed between a Caucasian and a Nagaru, and if you saw this in the music industry with a lot of people that, let's say, Jennifer Lopez or like Mariah Carey, or when they get a little tan and more, put the brown, they're more accepted musically or in the entertainment business with the Nagaru side. But then if they want to, they can switch it up and put a blonde wig and lean more to the other side. So people tend to, I guess sometimes it's to their advantage, but it's like when push comes to shove, who do you actually identify with? Who do you stand with? But a lot of the time, someone could be light, but it doesn't mean that, it's not based on just their complexion or skin color. It's about
the mindset.
Yeah, exactly. I'm trying to find this.
Last question. I'm planning on taking a visit to Africa this year, going to Ghana and then going back to Kemet. Is there anything particular I should be looking for, or I should go to see or experience when I'm in those two countries?
There are tour guides and people that would take you around, but I would just say that you learn as much as you can, just experience it. But the thing about going, you said you're going to go to Egypt, or you're only going to Ghana?
Yeah. I'm gonna go to Ghana, and then we're taking a trip to Egypt also.
Yeah. Okay. So the thing about Egypt is like there are different parts, and now the commercial parts you have to do. When I went over, I was like, I didn't just go to like Cairo or go to like the tourist parts. You have to go. You have to go to like the different parts, Luxor, Aswan, especially.
You did Valley of the Kings.
Valley of the Kings, yeah. You've got to go to places where you learn and see a lot of stuff for yourself, as opposed to just the tourist parts. You just get guided a certain way. It's like you can go to a country, excuse me, you can go to a country and stay in a resort and experience just having a good time, but you don't really go to the natives and go and see things and talk to people. So that's what I would suggest. Like always try to go and meet the real like indigenous people and the natives and speak with them. But this book, I picked it up. Let's set the record straight. The master goes into, you know, the different people and how the mixtures and so forth comes in. But yeah, this is a good scroll. But yeah, I mean, it's always good to go and experience for yourself as opposed to just going by hearsay. So traveling is a good thing. It opens up the mind, but you have to be
Do
careful
you
as
think
well.
a special type of activation would happen with going back to the mother continent or the homeland, or it just varies depending on the person?
Oh yeah, definitely. If you're melaninite, the sun will definitely you know, activate you and charge you up because there is information that you receive from the sun. But again, it's also about the individual and what, you know, what kind of vibration you're on.
Okay, that's some good affirmation. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
Oh,
What? Okay, like I don't know what's going on with my throat. Excuse me. Okay, let's say, here we go. I also need more clarity about the origin of the Dravidians. This is from Marcel Leanna Williams. I know you said it a lot, but just start at the beginning, please, or make a separate video. Okay. The first thing is to recognize that the races and the people on the planet don't come from here. They're related to beings that come from different star systems. And the same way on the planet you have the root seed or the first being the Nagarus, you have to go into the stars and deal with the beings that came from like Nirvana that we're dealing with when we're talking about the Dravidians, right? To the Hindu beings. And they came from 9. So you've got 9 ether, then you have the 6 ether, then you have ghost. The same thing applies on the planet, where the 9 ether on the planet will be the original Africans, or the Homo naledi, Homo habilis. The same way you had beings that came and they went to what we call India today, or Bali, right? And they settled down. So they have those beings that also came down and then produced offspring with the mixture to the Nagaru. Everyone had to mix with the Nagaru because the Nagaru were here first. And then you have other beings that came like from Jomo, which we're dealing with, like what we call the Chinese today, or they were originally Teros. Right? If you look at the Teros being and you look at those Japanese and Chinese beings, they have similar DNA. So when you're saying that clarify the Dravidians according to it depends where you're getting the information from. So the Dravidians, according to, if you're saying anthropologists, they classify them as Denisovan or Homo florensis. So, and there are, like, how far back you go, it will always have the Nagaru mix. This is why even when you go to China and go anywhere you go, the indigenous people would be the original Nagaru. Yeah, but then these other races came here and mixed with them to produce offspring. So you will always find, if you go to Australia, no matter where you go to on the planet, you have to look at the indigenous people. If you go to even what we call America, the indigenous are going to be the Olmecs, and they were related to the Pataites. And then the Chinese came over, mixed with them to produce what we're calling, we know them as Native Americans. They become American Indians because of the Asian mix. So it literally depends on how far back you're going, what location you're going to, and who exactly are you referring to or calling Dravidians? We have a scroll, actual fact, 18 plus 1, 18 plus 1, 37 genes of the mitochondrial DNA, and that goes into more detail. But unfortunately, we've actually, we've got so many questions we're not even be able to get through. But let's take a live one, and then we'll go ahead. Zamal. Greetings, Rahubat or Zamaltat. What's your name? Your question?
Hi, Stephen. Rahubat. It's Alice from Bedford.
Oh, Rahubat. Greetings.
Just wanted to touch back on eating animals or flesh, because I personally feel it's really important to get this information out there to help other people to understand the importance. I myself used to eat meat, flesh, everything, and I was extremely overweight and had very much clouded judgments. I didn't really have much self-worth and belief within myself. And then since meeting my partner, obviously he's vegetarian. I haven't consumed any flesh in almost 2 years now. And the difference in my life is like beyond incredible. But I really think the question is that I'm wanting you to kind of elaborate on is how important is it to not consume flesh in order to remain healthy in your mind, body and spirit, and to for people to understand how that raises your vibration.
That's the thing though, that there are so many people that will give their testimonies in terms of, including myself, when they've stopped eating the flesh and the meat and the flesh and the blood, and that even in terms of your, like you say, your frequency and vibration and how you can travel and visit other dimensions, like you start to have more of those types of spiritual experiences, including out of body experiences. But even if you just look at the basics of health, it's no longer really disputed. I mean, I remember Theo, I don't know what's happened to Theo, we haven't seen him in a while, but Theo was one of those people that he said I don't agree with the meat part, and he does like exercise and things like that. So I said to him, go and watch the documentary called The Game Changer, because it's a scientifically written documentary that gives you and they do lab tests and they give athletes diets, one with meat, one without, and they talk to so many different people. I have no affiliation with the people that made the program, by the way, but it was one of those that really it gives it to you in such a factual way that you can't really dispute the facts. And so I would say to people, watch The Game Changer and just see, like, because he was like, I need protein. And they break it down scientifically, and we do as well, that the protein that people are thinking they're getting from animals, it's not coming from the animals. It's a byproduct of them eating the vegetation. And this notion that you can't build muscles without meat, without eating flesh, is wrong, because all the mammals that are big, like the elephants, they're all vegetarians. And you look at just what's in the blood, and the fact that your digestive system, the way that your intestine works, it's not designed for meat. The amount of times that it takes for it to go through your system. You didn't originally have canines. The uric acid that is in the meat ends up giving you arthritis. There's so much we can go into about why you shouldn't be. Why are you consuming animals anyway? What have they done to you? Like, why we need to unalive them? But
yeah, exactly. And I also feel like in the end we're then having secondhand protein from eating eating the flesh, the animals, because what we eat from the animals isn't what they're eating to get the protein in the first place, which is vegetation,
Exactly.
vegetables. So why must we? It's almost telling us that we don't need the protein or the secondhand protein from the animals.
That's right.
When we should just get that from the fruits and the vegetables and the things that grow naturally.
You know, you hear the term, you are what you eat. Like, that didn't just come about. It's because you literally, the energy, the vibration, and you've got people like renowned, like Dr. Sebi, who everybody likes his diet because he's healed. He's a healer. He's healed so many people. And that was one of the things he was telling you, like a lot of the ailments that people have come from all this second-hand dead stuff. You're not eating electric food, you're taking in dead flesh, and yeah, so it's a lot of misinformation, to be honest. But as we keep saying, we're not here to dictate to people what to eat or what not to eat. We know what's best for you. You either choose to apply it or do it or not. You will see the difference for yourself. And so anyway, Theo watched the documentary. Shout out to Theo if you're listening. And he came back to class and he's like, I actually agree with you now. I feel better and I'm not eating no more meat. I don't know if he's going to revert to it or not, but you know, sometimes we do slip, and we just got to keep, you know what I mean, keep getting up. But to just, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, just one more little question on, like, maybe if you know and can expand on the similarity between the DMT and animals and us as humans, how that is transferred or
Yeah, absolutely. This is where we go into breaking things down into energy and vibration and frequency. If an animal has a traumatic unaliving, that actually has an impact in the blood, and then the memory as well is actually stamped, and then you take that in and it will then bind with you, and you will have the same nightmares or dreams that is the animals, you know, the energy that you've transferred from them to you.
Yeah.
And
Because
this
I
is
also don't have, you know, any issues or any problems with anyone who does follow any religion or belief or anything like that. Obviously, each to their own. But I also know a lot of Muslims, and you know, they have their meat and they say, yeah, it's halal, so it's best for you. But the bit I don't understand is they're still, you know, slitting an animal's throat. Surely that's traumatic, and they're still eating that even though they've drained the blood out from the flesh.
Yeah, and this goes back to these gods of these books, because the gods of these books and the deities of these books, they ask for burnt offerings and carcasses and, you know, blood sacrifice and blood being spilled over the altar, because these are extraterrestrial beings that they get an adrenaline rush, even down to some of the files that, you know, are being exposed now. They're telling you what, I don't like to talk about the graphic nature of some of these things, but it's to get the blood to have that type of energy that they consume that gives them a buzz. And so when they're saying these things, is because their deities request for blood meat. And like every time during, like when they have certain festivals, the amount of animals that they unalive to eat, and this goes into what we call, even in the, you know, Christian world, in terms of the Holy Communion, and it's necromancy really, because you're eating the flesh and drinking the blood of someone. And like all of that is because there is spirit and energy in the blood, in the liquids. So when you take that in, of course, it's going to have an impact on you. So like we keep saying, to each their own. And there are also so many, like I said, health, Alzheimer's, even though some people might deny it, and even dementia. And there's so many things that are attached to red meat, studies that have been done. And Yeah, but you're dealing with it. It can go into so much detail to deal with the draconians, the reptilians that love meat because, you're dealing with the aggression that comes with that, and we go into why does Dracula like to drink blood, and yeah, there's a lot to it, but someone has to do research and read and study, and then implement and see how you feel, see if it makes you feel better. Some people can't do without it because it's in their DNA.
Yeah, and I thought I was one of those people. Before I met my partner, if someone would have told me, you're never going to eat meat again, I would have laughed and been like, that's really silly. Of course I am. Like, I enjoy it.
Yeah.
And he got me to watch a video. What was the video called?
Taste of Life.
The Taste of Life by Hibbler Productions. I watched
Right.
that video, and I did not struggle to come off of meat.
Especially if you watch videos of how they mistreat animals in preparation just for them to be food. And the last point I want to make before we leave it is when extraterrestrials then abduct humans and do the same to them, they say, oh, it's so terrible. Like, why would you do that? But we're doing it to animals.
Yeah.
We're doing it to the and now it's even like you don't even know what you're eating anymore because
Exactly.
there's just too many chicken chops, if you can call them chicken. But yeah, this is something that keeps coming up over and over and over again, and I think each person has to go on their journey and make their own decision. But in our culture, we teach about the consumption of blood and spirit meat and blood meat and stuff, so we don't advocate it. But
No, because it just keeps your chakra and that right down in the roots. You can't raise it
That's
by
right.
eating that, and that's something that I've learned myself. So
thank you for sharing that. All right.
no, thank you for having me.
No problem. Anytime. All right.
Take care. Thank
Take care.
you.
Wadu. Man, we have so many questions, and even though we've gone way over time. What is the purpose of wearing crystals? Do they serve any purpose when wearing on the body?
What was the name of the documentary?
The one she just said.
The one that you said.
The Game Changer. Yeah, if you can actually just because I was just going on to say, watching that, they showed you so many different perspectives of, just like the process that animals go through, the actual scientific evidence and facts between different athletes and people that they wanted to up their game to be the best they can be. And when they took away meat from their diet, the results correlated with their performance being better. So yeah, it's a good one to look at. Okay, so I was just answering the question about crystals. If the crystals are authentic, real crystals, they emit a vibration and a frequency. And some of them will heal you depending on what you're going through and what parts of you need recharging. So there are different crystals for different purposes. We have an actual fact called tones, vibrational frequencies. I'm trying to remember the exact title that goes into, it talks about crystals, and yeah, they're basically used to heal and to align and to recharge your organs, your being, your different parts. So that's a quick answer. And some crystals, once they've done their job, then they move on and kind of like, I might as well keep going for the next.
I've got a voice note for you.
Okay, go on then.
Good evening. So my question is basically talking about SDA, which is Seventh-day Adventist Church. Since I was doctrinated in that church, and the belief is since you guys don't believe, yes, but what do you know about it? Is it really the right church? Because the doctrine says it is, and from the Bible it says God rested on the seventh day. So I want some help over that.
Yeah, again, like when people ask us broad questions, it's a very it's very hard to like tune in or focus in of what exactly you want to know. But it's just like it's just another denomination of Christianity that believed a certain thing. That, you know, because like you say, they say God sanctified the seventh day and rested, and that's why they, excuse me, they advance with this, the Sabbath and being on the seventh day. But then you got others that will say the seventh day, depend where you starting to count from, because the days that we're using today weren't referred to up until, you know, like many names have been changed and like from and given to you from Greek, the months, the days, you know, they've been changed. So it's just another, you know, like you got the day advance with the seventh day being the Sabbath. Then you got people that say, no, it's the Saturday. By the end of the day, it's still religion. It's still based on Christianity. It's still based on Abrahamic religions. And it's just a different opinion that they have. And it's just another division, you know. It was literally organized and started growing in like around 1863. So yeah, it's just because they went with the seventh day, saying that that was the Sabbath. But it's a very broad question, so you have to be more specific. We really keep trying to tell people that these books and these religions have expired. And if you want to really elevate and learn the truth, you've got to come over to the hereafter doctrine in Wu-Sabat. If you're studying for the purpose of like helping others away from it and you want to know the facts and know what you're talking about, then fine. But there's just another belief. Yeah, so the seventh day is really refers to, as I said, the belief that the biblical Sabbath is Saturday and not Sunday. All right. But yeah, what was it? Was there another part of that? No, that was it. Forget religion. Religion is relying on the jinn. And you have to know the word. They're mixed up because some information you're going to get it from reading the Quran. Some you're going to get from reading the New Testament. Some you're going to get from what they call the Old Testament or the Torah. So you have to piece the truth from each one of them together to recognize that they actually come from the Sumerian tablets. And then you recognize that the Sumerians get a lot of their information from the ancient Egyptians, talking about pre-dynastic. And then you realize that those ancient Egyptians, their roots is from the stars. And we, as their children, we know the origin or the roots of the information that is being watered down to end up today with the confusion that is causing most people on the planet to disagree with each other and argue and fight and war. And, you know, that's not what the original way was about. It's a peaceful way, you know, so that's what Wu-Sabat is about. All right, I'm gonna, one bonus question. Let's go for a bonus question and see. I'm gonna roll the dice. I'll roll and see what comes up. All right, here we go. I mean, like people are saying, someone said here, I'm white and I have my chakra system. I've got the classic blue eyes. brown hair, blonde in the summertime. I am Palladian. Okay, that's not a question. No one's saying you're not who you are. Everyone has to be who they are. And if that's what you are, that's what you are. But, you know, if you want to learn about Wu-Sabat and the culture of Wu-Sabat and our roots and our culture, then this is the channel. Yeah, people are also talking about their experiences with meat. I'm just scrolling through to see if there's anything that stands out. Okay, someone is... okay, this one is a big one. It's in capitals. King Daniel the Great. Where did we come from? What was the real beginning? What exactly is Wu-Sabat? How can I become a part of Wu-Sabat? And how can I tap into my higher self? That's a great question. We have to dissect it. That's why we have classes. When you say, where did we come from? The we is important. Who's the we? Because everyone comes from different origins, stemming all the way back to the stars and the different star systems. If you're talking about we as in Nagaru, we have our ancestry that goes through Africa all the way to the stars, to the Orion and Sirius star constellation. By way of our ancestors, we refer to as the overseers. Okay. So when you say what's the real beginning, there's no one real beginning. Everyone has a beginning, depending on what their origins are being traced to. And when we say beginning of on the planet, because we come from beyond the planet. What exactly is Wu-Sabat? Wu-Sabat is our ancient culture and way of life that has been lost. And many other races, they have their culture. You know, they have their culture, and how can I become a part? Depending on where you're located and whether there's a community or a store near you, the first thing is to go there and get acquainted with everything and know about the people, attend classes, and then as you read the scrolls and put them into practice, you will tap into your higher self, because you learn to communicate with your higher self and your ancestors, and then you will know what the rest of your journey or your purpose here is. Okay. Okay, we actually got to the end, you know. I'm just looking through.
A lot of just conversations.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of it's just conversations. I'm changing my diet for sure. Health is wealth. That's lost one. Yeah, that's great. But yeah, it's just conversations. But, okay. Thank you for tuning in today. Thank you for everyone online. We constantly have to say, Ashuk, our gratitude goes to you, to everyone doing their part to spread the truth, to wake up humanity. And that is really the way to go. Thank you for supporting us. Please like, share, subscribe, comment on our videos, and tell us especially how the Masters works, his books, how they're having an impact on your life. Yeah, please come and let's work together. Go to the bookstores, go to your local community, get into study groups, study together, do things together, to gather, and then, you know, each one teach one, each one reach one, and we will continue to do our part with your support. We're here every week, same time, same place. Tune into our Telegram group, tune into the classes every Saturday. But most of all, your journey is your responsibility. So study, read the scrolls. Don't just get sound bites. Don't be one of those people that just relies on our shorts that you see on Instagram, Facebook. Those are literally like less than a minute sometimes. So you have to study, you have to read, you have to make the decision for yourself and not just follow blindly or follow people and believe, you know. So as we say, Shuk, Pukawun,